1, 2, 3, 4. Welcome back, besties, to another episode of I Am Besties. As always, I'm your host, Vanessa Cazarez, and today I'm so happy to have here the Primos Chidos.
Hey.
Woohoo! Everybody hype us up. Oh, everybody get lit. It's like, Jules, Steve, Brandon, thank you guys for joining us.
Of course.
We actually met them when we did the podcast pit live. We were all there. It was our first time being on stage and just putting on a show for everybody. So that was a good experience, you know, meet everybody and just do that shit live. Did you guys feel nervous?
Yeah, I feel like we were all pretty much nervous. Yeah. I was really nervous because I was like, there's gonna be an audience there. I mean, we're kind of used to having like a live audience in a way because our shows are pretty much, we're a radio show and they're live, but physically having people there
staring at
was
you
was a whole different thing because like I feel like the audience changes the vibe of like if you're, whether you're doing good or bad.
You get instant feedback.
Yeah. But it was cool. I feel like at the end of it, it was really cool. But I was pretty nervous about it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, what really helped was that before we went up there, me and my sister took shots.
Period.
But I mean, you raw dogged it. So
yeah,
you're like,
I'm not much of a drinker, so I was just like, because at first I was like, I would rather be booed than like I go up there and everybody's just quiet. So that kind of got me through it because I was
still
like,
a reaction, right?
Yeah. I was like,
so
if I get booed, like I can do something with that. But if people are just like not talking and just the whole time,
so if you started getting booed, you would have like insulted the audience.
No, we heard about that, right? That somebody who did that.
Yeah. No way, what?
Yeah, we won't say any names, but we asked somebody like, oh, has anybody ever like bombed really badly on stage? And apparently one guy did. He did so bad that his show, like him and his partner broke up and they didn't have the show anymore. He started like insulting the people in the audience, like, oh, you guys don't think this is funny? Like, you guys don't think I'm funny?
Yeah.
So,
that's wild.
Yeah, we could have done a lot worse.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, so
but you guys did great too.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And you know the funny thing is that Steph was in Mexico that like whole like week or two leading up to it. So I have huge like stage fright because growing up I did do a lot of like school plays, and I even did like baile folclórico, like you know, like I did like a lot of that stuff. But you know, you grow up and you realize that the world is judgmental and people always have opinions, and I really learned to kind of just dim my light when it came to performing. So when it came to doing this podcast, the live show, Saul just said, hey, do you guys want to do like this like live show? In my mind, I thought, oh, we're going to be interviewed like on stage. You know, I didn't think we had to put on our whole show. So then when I did realize that, oh, we have to put it on, like we have to put our thought and like just entertain people. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, no. I was like freaking out. And then the fact that Stephanie wasn't here, I was like, damn, like I needed her, I guess I needed her to like ground me in a sense and kind of just be like, okay, like we got this together. But because she wasn't there physically to kind of like prepare and like come up with anything, we literally came up with like most of our set like on the drive there, like through text and like FaceTime. And I was like, fuck, what do we do? I'm just like freaking out. But I think for our first time, definitely we did well. I think we all did. And like I told you guys earlier, seeing you guys be so calm and collected and just do your thing, I think kind of helped us too as well. Be like, okay, like it's not that bad, you know? Yeah. So definitely I think we did great.
I think what helped me was that I was like, you know what? It's not going to be just me on there. It's going to be like these two guys.
Exactly.
So I'm like, I got a lifeline. Even if I run out of stuff to say, like at least I have them, you know?
And that's exactly what I thought too. Like if I run out of stuff to say, I know Steph is there. But I think there was like a little moment where like kind of like we were both going blank. So I was like, damn. But I think we did good. I think we did good. So the Primos Chidos, how did that come to be about? Because I know yours is more like a radio show vibe, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have more of a radio. Do you want to tell her or do you want me to tell her?
Yeah, I mean, it previously kind of just started from us during the pandemic getting high in our backyard. We kind of previously said it at the show.
Love that.
But yeah, we would like just get high and we were talking about like conspiracies and, you know, the pandemic, a lot of things were happening, like Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
There was also like the riots going on. So like a lot of things were happening and we would talk about it and we're like, we really want to like voice our stuff. And eventually, one of my college friends from San Francisco, he moved out here to LA. He also has his own podcast too, so shout out to him.
What is it? Plug it. Let's plug it.
Plot Twist. So
Love
shout out
it.
to Daniel.
Okay.
And he moved out here, and then he got a job with TGN. So He
Shout out
had
to
an-
TGN.
Yeah,
Shout out to our
shout out to
boys.
TGN.
That's our boy right there.
Yeah, shout out to them. And they were having a new branch, so they had the TGN Latinx station, and he became assistant manager for it. And they were hiring, and he just like hit me up because I had already expressed to him that we
Yeah.
were interested. And he was like, "Oh, we have interviews. Like, if you guys are down." I talked to them. We were like, "We're down." Like, we're like, "What's the worst that can happen?" Like,
Let's
they
show
say
it
no.
blown.
Like, but we were like, we tried it, right? So
Yeah.
we went. We met Keith Good News.
Keith is
Shout out to him. We met Jackie. We interviewed with him, and they loved us. And then we were on. We were on with them, and then it's kind of just like happened like that. And then since then, we've kind of just been on it.
Here we are.
And here we are.
Love that.
Hi.
I love your guys' intro, by the way, to the show, like the filmy like aspect.
Oh, yeah.
How did that come? Do you guys do
Shout out to
film?
Stevie.
Yeah,
So you
okay,
made that.
yeah.
Okay.
So that's me and Brandon are big into like movies and film, and I've specifically for my university, I edited my university's short film.
Ooh,
So I had
dope.
some experience. So when we got the show, I was like, you know what, we need to have an intro. We have a lot of kind of inspiration from MTV and like
Yes.
Vine culture and like just very like I've always liked the VHS look and
yeah.
so I kind of went with that theme for like making it, and so I'd come up with drafts. I'd send it to them. They'd shit on it, so we did. But it's okay.
It's the creative process.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I like when people really like shit on my stuff. Like
Yeah.
if I make an edit and people would just say like, "Oh, it looks so good," and that's it.
Yeah,
I hate that because
yeah.
I feel like people are just being nice.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. One of the things that stands out to me when from that intro was when you said you can do embarrassing things, you just have to be confident. Or what was the saying that you said?
There's a certain confidence that comes with a fresh shave. There's an aura, a vibe. You know the feeling, and you can see the confidence when someone is well groomed. We call this BGE, big groomed energy, and there's only one way to get that BGE. Manscaped. We'd like to introduce you to their best and biggest ultimate hygiene bundle yet, the Platinum Package 4.0. Manscaped is the leader in men's below the waist grooming, and you can now trust them with the rest of his body. Join the 4 million individuals worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code BESTIES.
Yeah. One time, I was, feeling a little frisky, a little touchy, a little spontaneous. So I was with this man, and I just wanted to put my hand down his pants, because I was already like being touchy and like kind of all in on him. And then obviously I wanted to see what he was working with.
He was packing?
What was packing down there. So he didn't let me put my hand down there.
And then shaved.
And then, yep, sure enough, he came clean that he was embarrassed that he didn't feel like it was groomed well enough for me to go down there. And honestly, I was just like, wow, how dare you?
That's a missed opportunity right there.
Yeah, and if he would have just had his shit straight, because that was his personal thing. Like, he didn't want to, 'cause
Yeah.
whatever he felt, but and even me was like, damn, like I thought men were always ready to go. So
True.
what's going on, man? Y'all slacking? Y'all need some Manscaped products? Come on, get it together, cause girls trying to get their nut too.
And Manscaped's got you.
And Manscaped's got your back. So get into it. Get into it, yeah.
Get into it, yeah.
All right. Manscaped's brand new Platinum Package 4.0 is the biggest bundle they've ever offered, giving you a bulk discount on Manscaped's top products. Stop paying more for his grooming products, ladies. The Manscaped Platinum Package 4.0 is the one-stop shop for the man who deserves it all. They designed this package to allow you to fully align your entire hygiene routine with elite products. Inside the Platinum Package, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Ultra Premium Body Wash, Ultra Premium 2-in-1 Shampoo plus Conditioner, Ultra Premium Deodorant, Crop Preserver Anti-Chafing Ball Deodorant, Crop Reviver Ball Spray Toner, Anti-Chafing Boxers, and the Shed Travel Bag to hold all your goods while traveling.
Whew. That was a tongue
big
twist.
one.
You're out of breath at that point.
Honestly, thank God they're throwing a bag in there.
Hell yeah. The Lawnmower 4.0 body trimmer and Weed Whacker nose and ear hair trimmer feature proprietary advanced skin safe technology to protect his delicate parts and holes. Both are waterproof, so you don't have to worry about his mess. In addition to shaving, you can now completely upgrade your shower routine with the Ultra Premium Body Wash and Ultra Premium 2-in-1 shampoo conditioner. This luxurious combo will seriously leave your skin and hair feeling hydrated and smelling fresh. Make sure you and your man don't forget to apply their aluminum-free, very important, ultra premium deodorant for that cologne quality scent on the go. But it's not just his pits that stink. We know his balls can stink too.
Thankfully, their Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and Crop Reviver Ball Toner can solve this problem for you. When you smell his sack, you'll never go back. Manscaped even threw 2 free gifts to their Platinum Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. These boxers are so comfy. You'll need a pair from him or her. The Platinum Package 4.0 covers all the bases to keep you smooth and smelling good. This is the best bang for your buck.
Get 20% off and free shipping with the code BESTIES at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use the code BESTIES. Unlock your big roomed energy with Manscaped. And remember, when he trims his hedges, the tree stands taller.
And I believe that.
Back to your regular scheduled programming.
As long as
what is it?
You can do anything. Nothing's embarrassing if you do it with enough confidence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I love that so much. What made you say that? Do you feel like there's anything in your life?
Am I the one who said that?
No, I said
Oh, it was you? Okay, I'm so sorry. What, do you feel
That's
like
good.
you've gone through something where it was like embarrassing, but you did it like confidently? Or
I
because I
think-
feel like that's so inspirational, honestly. Because like, you know what it made me think about? It made me think about Thor, the new Love and
Yeah,
Thunder.
Love and Thunder, yeah.
When he when they like blew his like clothes away, and then they later tell him like, oh, like that was embarrassing, like you were naked. And he was like, I'm not embarrassed. Like I love my body. I'm confident. Like it's
Yeah.
fine. So that's kind of like what came to mind. You know, like if you're confident, it's like not embarrassing. You know what? Otherwise, it would look embarrassing to other people.
Well, it comes from like a really deep place. Like most of my life, I think I've had a lot of moments that would have been embarrassing, but I did it
Yeah.
with confidence to where I kind of was like, whatever.
Yeah.
The reason, if you see in the intro, that clip, when that phrase plays, it's a video of me falling off of a gate and like landing on concrete, like on my face.
Oh, that was you.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, that's me. So the story behind that, just really quickly, was that I was like so confident I could jump over that fence like in one leap, and I couldn't. My foot got stuck, and so I just ate shit. But the deeper like meaning behind it is that I've always felt like since I was a kid, I looked like different because
Okay.
I have like kind of like an indigenous nose and like
Okay.
and tanner skin. So I was always like, I know I look different.
Okay.
And like some people like consider me like to even be ugly.
Hell
And
no.
it's like who cares? Like as long
Yeah.
as I like love myself.
Exactly.
It's like it doesn't really matter, you know.
Exactly. And I think another thing that's like, you know, society's conditioning of way of thinking of what is beautiful and what's ugly, you know, I think it's so dumb because it changes over time. Like for example, like the whole like BBL era where everybody wanted to get like a BBL,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
I feel like that's passing. Girls are starting to want to be slim again. Because before the BBL era was like everyone had to be skinny like a Victoria's Secret model, and now everyone went to like extreme. Because even my little sister was telling me yesterday, I remember when I was in elementary, if I had a big butt, everyone would think that's gross, that's weird, you know. And then now BBL era, everyone likes a big fat ass, but then everyone's straying away from that again to like Pilates and just being slim and skinny. It's so dumb, and it just makes you realize how brainwashed a society we are to like what's good looking and what's not.
Yeah.
You know, it's just accept yourself, love yourself,
yeah.
and I think whenever you look at someone and you see like, or you think like that's ugly, or you know, start judging, it just kind of goes to show like it's true what they say, like it's what's going on inside of you for you to even have those thoughts of other people. Because if you're having negative thoughts or about other people, it's really showing what's going on inside of you
Yeah.
and how you feel about yourself.
Yeah,
You know,
it's projection.
So, exactly,
yeah.
projection. So I love that. You know, I feel like everyone should get to a point where they're really like, okay, like I fuck with myself, and I know that other people might not fuck with me always, and like it goes even to that showing where it's like you can't please everyone. Not everyone's gonna like you, and you're not even gonna like everyone, and that's okay. You know, like because you're not for everybody, and
Yeah.
everybody's
Yeah.
not for you. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, even this podcast, I'm sure, like, whether it's stuff you said or stuff we've said on the show, I'm sure somebody has listened to it and been like, "You guys are tripping. I don't like you. Like, I don't like you."
Yeah.
Like, and it's like you don't even know me. You know?
Exactly. It's like it also makes me think about like sometimes we post like little clips on TikTok, you know, like the little snippets, and we'll get a lot of comments where it's like, oh, like, why didn't you say this, or you didn't look at it from this perspective? It's like, well, if you would have watched the whole episode, you would have seen that we did bring up those points, but you're only just looking at this one little thing and judging immediately, and it's like, okay. Or like another instance, What was I gonna say? Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
No,
But
it's okay.
yeah, it definitely goes to show, like, you really just, you never know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it kind
for
of goes with what Brandon told me. I don't want to know your perspective on it. He said, like, do you think the phone has made the world a better place?
I think it depends on how you look at it. I definitely think that there are advantages and things that have helped. Communicating is easier. Connecting is easier. But also, I think it also has to do with like our internal world as like human beings. Because this is like technology, and it's like what we make of it. You know what I mean? And it's like, and if you're internally like an ugly person and you just like to put like ugly shit out there in general, whatever that looks like to you, it's not going to be a good tool. You're not going to use it for good. But if you're a good person internally, and your inner world is, balanced and you're good, then I feel like what you put out using your phone is going to be good. Like, for example, like I was telling my little sister yesterday, she was, we growing up as women, we're pitted against each other always, whether it be looks, accomplishments, and, all these things. And she was telling me that she doesn't post anymore on social media because she kind of wants to stray away from like getting like validation on there, and it could be, you could get swept away easily from things on social media. Are getting enough likes, or getting enough comments, things like that, and it could be very like depressing. But it's like, of course, and if that's kind of like the state you're in, and you're self-aware that that's the state that you're in, definitely take a step back. Don't use social media, and kind of like regroup yourself and do the inner work to give yourself that own, like you said, self-love and validation and confidence. But if you, damn, I'm losing my train of thought so much. Sorry. But basically, like I was telling her, like, but if, like, let's say she did that inner work and she, gave that herself that love and validation, and she were to re-enter social media again, she wouldn't put like her worth on what she's posting. She would then just be doing it for fun, for, just whatever comes to her that she wants to post, for whatever light she wants to share with the world. At that case, it'd be good, because she's just being authentic and she's just having fun. Yeah. And I feel like in that case, of course, then social media would be an awesome place if everybody came from that perspective, if everybody came in like looking at it that way, but if you look at it from the other way, where everyone's just kind of like, it's like ego driven, then at that point it's like, it's not fun. It's like, it feels like a competition. It feels like it's not a good thing. So I definitely think like the phones, I think it's definitely like, it has its pros and cons for sure.
Yeah.
And you asked the question, right?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I mean, there's a lot of good things that come from phones, right? Like I can call him and see him like the same day, right? Or like the big thing right now is police, right?
Yeah.
Like the police are doing something, everybody just pulls out their phone and records the police,
that's
and that's
dope.
good, right?
That's
Because like holding the police accountable, that's great.
Yeah.
But then there's some things where you're kind of like, is this okay? Now this is a really bad example, but bear with me.
Okay.
Do you guys remember when that guy, like that dentist, shot a lion? Do you guys remember?
Yeah,
that?
I know what
You
you're
remember
talking
that?
about. Yeah,
I don't.
it's this dentist too. Like he went to.
He likes hunting to Africa,
Yeah.
and he shot a lion while he was hunting. He like
Okay.
paid for it because you can do that.
You can
like
pay to kill a lion?
Yeah, you can pay. That's like how a lot of nature reserves pay to have the reserves. Is they'll like, they're the ones who sell like lions. Like you can go kill a lion or a
I
deer.
did not know
Yeah.
that.
I remember how everybody was like, "Fuck this guy!" Like, oh, sorry, I don't know. If
No, you got that. Go,
Yeah, everybody was like, "Yeah, to hell with this guy," and I agree. Yeah, to hell with that guy. Yeah, you
Yeah.
shouldn't go killing lions or whatever. And I say this is a bad example because I can't really think of another like instance, but I don't know. Whenever you see somebody who does something, and the entire internet shits on them, you're kind of like, is that so nice? Like Dave Chappelle kind of talked about it, right? Where he had a trans comedian friend who defended him because a lot of people call him transphobic, and then the entire internet shit on her, and she killed herself. That's why I asked. I was like, is it like, do the ends justify the means with phones?
I think that phones have made people a lot dumber. And I don't mean that as like oh, people are stupid, I'm like so much smarter. I mean in the sense of like the internet, the world is in your pocket.
Yeah.
If you want to look anything up, you can. If you want to be ignorant, you can look it up, but a lot of people don't.
Exactly.
Right? Because they're like, it's whatever. It's just so accessible, you take it for granted.
Exactly.
You could also read like a headline, and then it's like, oh, see, this is facts, and then I didn't finish reading it.
That's what scares me. Is I'm a big I'm very scared of algorithms in terms of like Instagram and TikTok. and what it shows you.
Ooh.
Especially you, I know you have a kid. I
Yeah.
always worry that my nephew, sometimes he's watching a lot of weird stuff on YouTube.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
shit.
And it just appears in the timeline, you know, and I wonder like if there was any time to like want to brainwash somebody or like want to implement certain things into the society, it'd be through the algorithms, because it's so like it's so transparent. You don't even know you're seeing propaganda.
Exactly.
Like because you get things taken out of context, right?
Yeah.
You see
Exactly.
headlines, you see like, oh, this is bad, don't do this.
Yeah.
Or like do this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like what I just said is a pretty good soundbite if you don't like me, right? This guy's defending the guy that killed the lion, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, fuck this guy. But like, I'm, you know,
It's just an
to
example.
do.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of like what I guess gives me a little anxiety with doing like podcasts and stuff is because what Joe Rogan gets into a lot is people are like, fuck this guy, like he says all this, and they take a lot of what he says as statements. But I mean, in my opinion, podcasts aren't really statements; they're more
No.
just people kind of talking, you know,
Exactly.
the
Or it's
everyman
like
talking.
we have as a society, we're not able to hold like two different perspectives or two different like realities, like if that makes sense, like where it's like I don't agree with what you're saying, but it doesn't mean I'm gonna shit on you just because you think differently from me. And I feel like that's kind of like where things kind of get like there's like a lot of nuance where it's like it kind of has like a lot to do with like our upbringing as a society, the way we're brainwashed to think and to just kind of like. And I feel like this kind of ties in with like the conspiracy theories you guys were talking about in the last
Yeah.
episode about like, dude, like, are we being controlled? Like, who is controlling everything? You know, because it all trickles down to us being controlled, you know, for our labor, for our energy, like for everything, you know, like we're all just like being farmed, you know, and we're all just kind of going with it. We're all just like, oh, cool, this is the way it is. This is the way life is, you know. We're all just like judgmental and like hating and towards each other. And it's like, you know, just drop them or like, you know, tighten up your circle or like level up. Like just like all this kind of mentality. And it's like, dude, like, are you really like, it's like everyone's like focusing on like the external, but I feel like everyone needs to be focusing on their internal world, you know,
I
like
like that.
when it
Yeah,
comes to like the
that's cool.
judgmentalness, you know, when it comes to like feeling like you're on a high horse, when you just go on social media and you see something you don't like and it doesn't align with you and just leave a comment or you just like say like mean shit and it's like, get off your fucking high horse, dude. Like, do the inner work, you know? Because if you're leaving judgmental comments and you're talking shit on like something that you only saw like a 10-second clip of and you didn't see like the whole context of the story and you feel good doing that, like that doesn't, you know what I mean? Like it's not, dude, like that shit grinds my gears like a lot.
What do you think, Julie? Do you think phones are good or bad?
I just feel like just in general, how you're talking about like the thing that we surround ourselves, because it's like if you leave a hate comment, the algorithm is like, all right, then I'm gonna show you more stuff of like this, because you still like commented on it, right? And that's
Yeah,
what
that's
the
true.
You
algorithm
engage with it,
is
right?
up. Yeah, you're engaging with it.
Exactly.
Which I feel like kind of like adds to your fire in a way. So I guess that's how people get more hatred and like it's
They
just like a
become
lot
a
of like
hater?
negative. It's like a negative
Is where they're
energy, you know,
born?
like you get the negative energy, so your phone kind of starts receiving the same thing. But the way I've always seen social media is like I feel like people tend to overshare a lot, and I know it's due to like because of especially because of the pandemic, we were just stuck on our phones and like being on social media. So a lot of people tend to overshare, and I feel like oversharing is sometimes bad. Well, I feel like it's bad, especially on social media, because like some of your followers probably aren't like close friends to you, you know? And I feel like some things you should keep to yourself and like keep your private life, because then I feel like you're allowing people to enter your life that
Exactly.
way. Like you're giving people the knives to like stab you,
Yes.
basically,
Exactly.
if you're oversharing on the internet. And I feel like that's what a lot of us are tending to do. And I think that's something that I'm trying to like get myself out of, is like not oversharing, because it's like I feel like I should value the things on my own or like with close
Exactly.
friends or family.
Yeah.
But that's like how I see social media and like all that stuff. But
Yeah.
I'm like, if you're interacting and like being a hater, I feel like your algorithm is gonna show you more of that.
Yeah. Yeah, and like going back to what you said, like you're giving your power to social media, you know, because like you kind of like fall victim to like if someone judges you or criticizes you, and we forget that like this is literally like made up. Like this is like internet is like it only exists because we as a collective choose to like believe that it exists.
Yeah.
You know what I
We
mean?
we give it a high power.
Exactly,
Yeah.
but literally it's nothing. It's just like we can't even grab it. It's not even tangible. It's just literally a program, a software that everyone just uses and everyone puts like their, you know, validation and like their worth on it, and we just like, and I feel like if we really want to get deeper, it just kind of goes to like you know, I feel like it definitely ties in with like, you know, your upbringing, like the way you were just, you know, I feel like your caregivers, your parents, the community who you surround yourself with is like what gives you your sense of like worth, like love and validation. You know, they're the ones that teach you kind of like how you're gonna think, what you're gonna believe about yourself, what are you gonna believe about the world, you know? And and I feel like when I think about when you were saying like is the government bullshit, is like who's in control, they're doing a good job by dismantling the way that we relate and the way as a community we are from day one. Why do we spend 8 hours a day in school? You know what I mean? Like with random people that are teaching us like BS that doesn't even matter. Do you use a Pythagorean theorem? Do you freaking use like all these bullshit things that they teach us? No, it's like they're just farming us to work 8 hours to do like all these things. But in reality, what really we should be focusing on like our self-worth, our creativeness, our energy, all these things that we really should be learning about to be like good like human beings, connected to God, whatever you want to call it. And it's not even like religious. It's like it's literally just like connecting to something bigger than us, because I do believe that there is something bigger than us. Like there is something that we are here on this earth to be, but we have already grown up in a society where it's like 9 to 5 work, like get pregnant, like have a baby, like get married, like do all these things. Like it's already structured for us, like the way life is supposed to be. And it's like we just get caught up in that. We don't think for ourselves. We don't think like, okay, like what?
You're giving the like Stranger Things speech. Have you seen Stranger Things?
No,
I haven't seen it either, bro. Don't spoil it.
You're giving the villain speech right now.
Really?
Yeah, that's what the villain says.
What?
He says that people are just live to breathe, work, die. Like that's basically his motive is to being evil.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because I was gonna ask you, like, so what would you think is important to learn in school then?
Honestly, I think, for example, let me tell you something that life-changing happened to me recently. I went to a sisterhood retreat for a morning.
Oh wow!
So and it was just one day thing, right? Growing up, I've always felt like a sense like I wanted to belong. Let me give you guys a long run. That's gonna be a long story. Okay, but I'm trying to make it short. I grew up in a Hispanic household. Dad, breadwinner, working all the time. My mom, she was a stay-at-home mom, but because of the stress of, having to maintain the household, 4 daughters who were crazy, and then her own depression, her own like failures, her own like relationship issues, she wasn't really present mom, and she was always angry, mad, hitting, yelling. So she was my source of like love and connection, because she did have her moments where she was embraceful and affectionate, and she did have a lot of good moments where she instilled good things in me, but for the most part she was angry and resentful and bitter, and that kind of seeps into my life. And then I grew up always just wanting to feel loved. I wanted to feel seen. I wanted to feel heard, validated. I feel like those are core values that everyone needs as a kid, and I never really had them in the way that a child should have them. So that's a way for you to grow up and to want to look for those things externally, because no one teaches you that you find those things internally, so you grow up wanting to get the validation on social media. You grow up wanting to get the validation from friends, from relationships, from anything, drugs, even food, like work, like you can name so many things that you try to find comfort in. And that's where my kind of spiritual journey kind of started, where it's like, okay, I'm tired of looking for things externally. I know now I have to look inward, because only when I look inward do I find some sense of comfort. It's like you follow the little breadcrumbs and you're like, okay, this feels good, I'm going to follow it. So I've been trying to connect with more people on social media that are kind of like, that I resonate with when it comes to healing, when it comes to the things that I feel like I want to be in alignment in my life. And so I found a group of girls who I felt like were just calling to me, if that makes sense. I just I was like, okay, they're going to go on a retreat. They're going to go on a hike at 4 a.m. It's in Apple Valley. It's a hike where we're going to go to some hot springs that are supposed to be like connected in nature and like ancestors. And like they made it seem very beautiful. And honestly, that ego part of me that kind of wants to keep you in your comfort zone and protect you was kind of like tugging at me, like, no, don't do it. Like, you don't wake up that early, girl. Like, what do you mean? Like, just you start having all the negative thoughts when you want to start kind of getting out of your comfort zone. And I was like, I'm going to do it anyway. I've been getting out of my comfort zone, so I felt more comfortable doing it. I was like, it's a bunch of strangers, a bunch of girls I've never met before. It was only like 10 of them. Met up with them. One of the things that immediately stood out to me right off the bat, the way they hugged. It was very intentional. Like they embraced me in a hug that just wasn't like a side hug or a hug that lasted like 1 minute, you know, or I mean not 1 minute, like 1 second. You know, like you hug someone, it's like a quick hug and like that's it. They intentionally like hugged you for like a good like 4 seconds and just like, hi, I'm so happy you're here. Like just, and that immediately made me want to cry. Immediately, I was just like, oh shit, I've never experienced this kind of intentional, like full of love hug that I'm just like, damn, this feels so beautiful, right? So that to me was like, okay, this is going good so far. We get there, it was like a long, like almost 3-mile hike to even get to the hot springs. And the whole way there, everybody was just talking, just sharing like experiences, sharing thoughts, sharing feelings, and just connecting just on a deeper level that's not superficial. Everybody was being super vulnerable, sharing like dark things that you would consider like shameful, things that you would keep to yourself. And it just felt like a really safe space. It felt like everyone was really listening. Sometimes you share things and people are listening, but they listen only to like kind of respond or to give you their opinion. They don't, when someone responds to you, it's like, you weren't really listening to what I said. You didn't even validate my emotions. It's like, so I immediately felt so welcome, like so much love. I felt so seen, like all of those like core things that I missed as a kid. I immediately felt like they were like, just like they were getting kind of filled in that moment, right? We get to the hot springs. And everyone is we do like a meditation, we do some sound healing, we do a circle where we, everyone shares something that they're grateful for, something, and then we shared a secret, something, and it was only if you're comfortable to share something deep, just to build some vulnerability, build some trust. And everyone was crying and just holding space and just kind of like really coming together as a community and love and acceptance, feeling seen. And then after that, we went to swim to do like some cleansing and releasing in the water, but everybody was naked, men and women. We were all naked, swimming, strangers, like people I've never met. The way there was no like sexualization, nobody was looking at me weird. Nobody was like even looking at my body, like maintaining eye contact, like the way everybody was speaking to, like I left that retreat so full. Like I genuinely felt like my cup was overflowing with love. Not just for myself, but for everyone around me, in the sense that I ended up smoking that night when I got back home, and I had one of the most intense realizations that I've ever had in my entire life, where I truly felt like God was just speaking to me. Like God was just really like, whatever you want to call it, God, universe. I know a lot of people have like different names, and call it what you want. I truly feel like it doesn't matter at this point. It really I just felt like an ecstatic, overwhelmingly feeling of just love and connection to everything around me. And I feel like that's what people are lacking. And that's what is not being taught in schools. And I'm not saying that learning math and learning how to read and learning to play with others isn't like, that's, of course, it's important things. But I feel like that's not what it's really needed. That's what you're needed to work, like what they want us to form us, to kind of live in this society that we've been brought up. But I feel like everyone really is missing like deep, genuine connection with people as just like as humans. We're so divided, and I feel like that is definitely the root cause of everything. We're divided because we don't look the same, because we don't think the same, because we don't, it's all of this division. And that I feel like is the issue. We're not learning to see beyond that, and it's hard because it's conditioning of centuries of just generations of trauma and all these things. And that's why I try to not even listen to the news, because I feel like whatever you focus your energy on is going to keep as a consciousness. If we keep focusing on like the negative, it's just going to keep perpetuating the negative because we believe it's going to happen. So it's by fault, it's going to happen,
So you think people should learn more emotional intelligence?
Not even like emotional intelligence. Like, of course, it's an important aspect, but just connecting, like just accepting, and I feel like community is something that, for example, like you grow up right in this society and you want to get a job, you want to get that good paying job, you want to get like the that's gonna pay money because you want the vacations, you want to not have to slave for a 9 to 5, you don't want to have to work the hours, right? But you want to do that because you want to do it with family. You want to do it with friends. You want to do it with a loved one because you want to connect with people. Yet we it's like what we need is community, but that's what we need, but it's also what's tearing us apart. Because we as a community, we're tearing each other apart. So it's like, how do we build community if it's community what's tearing each other apart? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But it's like everything we do is because we want the love. We want the connection. We want to be with, you know, with the people that we care about. It's like, sorry, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I was gonna say it reminded me of I saw this thing about, because I'm a really big like lover of art, whether that's like my favorite medium is film, but in general I really like art, like and there was this quote that's really nice, is that you ever notice that people who have a lot of money, rich kids, always end up getting like an art degree, and it's because when humans don't have the financial strain of being weighed down by bills, they'll always choose art. Like it's just human instinct to kind of choose,
create.
to create,
be curious. Exactly. And it's like kind of like going back to, I told you guys on the way here, I was listening to your guys' last episode, and it really kind of stood out to me. I'm sorry, Brandon?
Yeah.
Brandon, okay, just want to make sure. When you were saying how, like, if, you know, there was like a nuke were to hit and, you know, and everybody, you know, died, and you, or like people survived, you still wanted to be alone. Like you just felt like, okay, like you're like, why do I have
he was
to
talking about it on the way here.
Yeah, he's like, why do I have to rely on people? You know, like I just, it's not something that, you know, I'm mad that I would now, and I'm assuming it's like, damn, like I'm trying to survive, but now I have to worry about you, you know, like your survival, and I just want to worry about me. And it's so crazy that you had have you ever seen Into the Wild?
I've read the book actually.
Exactly.
But I haven't
and
seen the movie.
Did you realize that everything you said was exactly like Chris McCandless?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so he pretty much. Yeah,
I hope not.
No. So he pretty much, you know, he grew up wealthy. You know, his parents had money, and he could have chosen to go like a prestigious college and do like have a beautiful life in the way like society says is a beautiful life. But he chose to donate all his money to charity and just give all his possessions up and go to Alaska. And you said, like, I would like to move to Alaska or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he said that. I was like, oh, should I get, like, you know, and I kept wondering, I wonder if he's heard of, like, Into the Wild. And what happened? He moved to Alaska, and I'm pretty sure in the beginning it was great. Like, oh, all alone. He felt like he didn't need anyone. But eventually what happened, Brandon? Like, what happened eventually over time, he realized that life is only worth living if you have people to share it with, if you have a community, if you have love, if you have all of that, you know.
She's coming for you, bro.
But he has that dog in him. He will survive.
I bet. I'm pretty sure you would have found a way to swim across that icy, like, freaking river. You would have done it.
No, yeah. I mean, I think whenever I tell people like that, I think a lot of people kind of take it the wrong way. Like they'll kind of think like, what do you mean? Like, oh, you want to be so different? Like, you just want to be away from people, or like, you know, you don't like anybody. You just want to, you know what I mean? But that's not necessarily what I mean. There's this quote in the movie There Will Be Blood, where he says, "I want to make enough money so people can leave me alone." And I've always resonated with that because I feel like, I don't know, I like the idea of choosing what I want to do. I like the idea of not having influence of other people in my life telling me, you know, and I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that.
No,
like,
of course not.
But I don't know. It's appealing to me.
No, I feel like inherently everybody wants like break free from everything. I feel like it's like since the moment we're here, it's like we're being controlled, you know, either by our parents, like do this, do that, you know, like you have to act like this, you can't say that, you can't do this, or like, and then you grow up and then you want to fit in at school and it's like, oh, well, you don't dress like this, or you don't look like this, so you don't fit in, or you don't play this sport, it's like you don't fit in. So it's like there's always that, there's always that shit. It's just like all the external conditioning shit. You just kind of grow up and it just starts piling up. And I agree. You get to a point where you're just like, dude, fuck all of this shit. Like, fuck you, fuck everybody. Like, just back the fuck up. Like, and so I completely understand that. Yeah. But I think that, like, getting to a point, though, where you're just like, I heard this quote that said, trauma will have you so fucked up that it'll make you think you have to do everything alone. And I'm not saying you have trauma, but I'm just saying you really do get to a point, and you get to a point where you really just want to be alone, because you learn that when you try to go to others, or you try to fit in, or you try to find a community, you're rejected, or you don't feel like you fit in, or you don't feel like you belong, or you feel like maybe some parts of you don't, but some others do. And the parts that you don't, you feel shameful about. And it's easier to not feel that shame when you're alone. You know, when you don't have anyone to look at you or to shine light on those things. And that kind of leads me to my other point, that's something that I felt like before going on this retreat, but more than ever, is just like, just loving those parts of you that you feel ashamed about. Because they're a part of you, you know, and I feel like a lot of them we adopted as kids, you know, our ego trying to protect us. I don't know how well aware of you guys are with your ego and your protector, you know. I feel like a lot of people like to villainize the ego, you know, like to say like it's bad, but really, if there's any parts of us that are, I say in quotes, like bad, it's really just kind of like ways that we had to learn as kids to like keep ourselves safe, you know, because we're in unpredictable environments, you know, our parents are unpredictable, our friends are unpredictable, and you just kind of learn these ways of being, you know, to try to keep yourself safe. And maybe as a kid it kept you safe, but when you're old, they don't serve you anymore, you know. Like as a kid you learn to shut down because maybe your parents hit you or they yell at you, so you just shut down. But when you grow up in your relationship, shutting down isn't good for you anymore, because you have to learn to connect and you have to learn to communicate. So, you know, it's just a lot of unlearning and learning, but also soothing, a lot of comforting. You didn't have that person to soothe you, to comfort you when you felt like you were fucking up, when you felt like you weren't doing good, when you felt like you were just, you know what I mean? So that's why I said the whole reparenting. You have to be that parent or that friend or that person that you never had growing up, and kind of soothe those parts of yourself that are ashamed, that are scared, that are, you know, all these things that, oh God, I feel like I'm going to rap, but I really just like, I feel like I just feel like the world is in deep lack of love.
Everything you're saying kind of reminds me of my mom. Really? I feel like the reason why I've always been kind of a very like have an emphasis on mental health is because my mom, when I was younger, she always put like that self-love is extremely important.
Oh, I love that.
And it's because my mom had like an extremely rough life. Like she basically got like abandoned when she was like 10 years old. And she said that like it was okay because like I loved myself and it's what got me through it. And since I was a kid, she always just told me and my sister that.
She always said that. She was always like, well, because for a good amount of her childhood, she was by herself. Like she didn't have her parents, she didn't have her siblings. They all lived in different areas. And I think for a good amount, like it was just her on her own, like just a child. Like she had to learn how to like feed herself and all that. And she, till this day, she still says it. Like she's still like, as long as I love myself and I have me, like I'm fine. Like as long as I love myself, I'm fine. Like if everything else, like if everything were to like happen, where like not saying like she would lose us or something, or like we would be mad at her or something. No, she's still like, I'm still gonna love myself. I still have me. Like that's it. And I feel like I've always kind of had that from her too, where I've kind of always been trying to like love myself, and like I love being alone too. Like not saying like I hate people. No.
I feel like being alone is a really important part of just healing, knowing yourself. And just, I feel like if you don't know how to be alone in a healthy way, it's hard to be with other people because you kind of get lost. You know what I mean? So I feel like being alone is definitely important. I don't want you guys to think, you need to be with people. No. Of course not. Being alone is important.
The person you spend most of your life with is yourself.
Exactly.
So, I mean, that's who you should get to know the most.
Yeah. Exactly.
No, yeah. So I'm like, it's cool. It's cool to like kind of have that, and I feel like. Getting to know like from Brandon, I feel like he just like loves nature a lot, and
that's
like
sick.
And sometimes being surrounded by a city. I mean, we're from LA, right? Like it tends to be like a lot. It tends to be a lot. Sometimes.
And actually, wanted to ask you guys about that. How is it living in like the city? Like, do you feel like it has an effect on you? How do?
Okay, because I think we each have different perspectives. I love it. I love it. Even though I've grown up like. We grew up in LA, so like I've been like cholos have like pulled their gun on me, like I've been like like I've seen like people have, like just getting like you always get checked, like not always, but it's pretty like if you grow up in LA, it's pretty common to
it's gonna happen.
A gangster's gonna come up to you like be like, hey, like where are you from, and like all this stuff, and I'm like, bro, I'm just chilling.
What do you say?
I always just say I don't bang, but like one of my friends who's from South Central, he says you shouldn't say that because it's like they get like upset. One time I did say it and the guy did get upset and he's like, I don't bang either. That's little kid shit. Like I don't bang either. And I was like, oh, well, what do I say? Like I just left. I was just like, whatever, bro. I'm gonna just leave. Like, I'm gonna just leave. So I still love it because I like that type of stuff. Like I like movies, so that's to
You're
me.
Like I'm in a movie right now.
Like yo, like I like.
This is actually happening to me.
Yeah. You're like where the camera's at.
I was like, I can't wait to go home and tell everybody about this. You know? But yeah, like growing up, like there's just there's so many things to do. Like as my sister, when I was a teenager, I'd be out like all day, every day, like with my friends.
I feel like the difference though between us is that I feel like my parents were super strict on me growing up because I'm also the only girl. He's my brother, and then I have an older brother, and then it's just me as the only girl. And I mostly tend to like follow my parents for the most part. Growing up, I was mostly always with them, like at parties, at any function, like I was always there with them. So I hardly would ever go out because also they were always very overprotective of me going out. So I hardly ever explored LA. Like I grew up on it. I grew up there, but I never went out. And then when I turned 18, I moved to college. So I went to San Francisco. So I fell in love with San Francisco.
The
so
city.
like, yeah, so I love San Francisco. Shout out to SFSU.
Boo.
But I feel like I love it there because I kind of grew up. Like I spent 4 years there.
Okay.
I kind of did my young adult life there, and I
Okay.
learned a lot about myself there. But I love LA. Like I still came back because I mean I was raised here. My family's here. And I love it. I love being there. I feel like especially my brother has shown me a lot of LA that I never got to see when I was
love LA,
younger
like-
because he loves it. Like
Yeah, I really do.
He's
I
a diehard
live
like
there.
LA. Like
Now I know he's my tour guide.
yeah, and like usually I ask him like, where can I go for this?
Yeah.
Where can I go for this? Because I legit know nothing. And ever since I moved back, like I was here for a couple of months, and then the pandemic happened, so I still couldn't go out anywhere.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
So then I still don't know much about like LA. Like I know the history and like my neighborhood and like all that stuff, like the actual like LA stuff, but like I don't explore much of it yet because of like I'm also not very like I don't tend to go out a lot, and I hate the summer right now. I hate the heat. So I tend not to be outside.
Yeah.
I'm more of a night person.
Okay.
So I love like the nightlife for the most part.
We love our
but-
night owls over here.
Yeah. But it's cool though. I feel like we're in a great place, especially California in general.
Yeah.
And being in LA, I feel like we're lucky enough to like be here and being able to be in actual LA because you know, going to college, I meet a lot of people and they're like, I'm from LA, and I'm like, oh, what part? And they're like, oh, like Riverside. I'm like, that's Riverside. Or like some
Guilty.
shout out. No. Or like sometimes people are like, oh, so how far is Disneyland from you? I'm like, that's like Orange County. That's like Anaheim. So it's like I'm lucky enough to also know a lot of different places because of college. Like now I'm like, I've always known different places out here. It's just like I feel like a lot of people are also very judgmental of like, oh, I don't know where that is. Or like when they say is it like Ventura or something? I'm like, that's where Ventura. Or like when they're like Valencia, I'm like, oh, that's where Six Flags is. Yeah. Like I know where things are. So like when people would be like, oh, I'm from LA, I'm like, what part? They're like, oh, Valencia. I'm like, it's like Valencia though. Like it's just like those things. But it's just like interesting. But I don't know about you, Brendan.
Oh, well, I always thought that was cool about him is that he actually likes LA because, and not because I don't like LA. It's just, you hear a lot of people talk shit about LA everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think that's annoying. I feel like,
I think we can all agree at least.
yeah.
That's
On
just
the traffic.
That's just life to me. I grew up there.
That's just like
Yeah.
it's necessary.
I've learned to kind of, well, I sometimes hate it, but I've learned to also love traffic just because I'm always jamming to my music
Hell
in the
yeah.
car.
You know what?
So I'm
You're
kind of like, that's the
right.
only reason everything gets better. And I don't know, there's something different about them car stereos that like the speakers,
Dude,
it hits different.
You know
It
what?
just
Me
hits
saying
different.
that traffic sucks is just my conditioning because I actually love traffic. Like,
It's just like
you know what? You know, I need to get rid of that because I do listen to podcasts and I get
Hell
lost.
yeah.
I get
Podcasts,
lost in the
podcasts.
podcast like when I'm driving. So it's like for me, I actually love when it takes time.
Listen
get
to us if you're driving.
Yeah.
If you're
Yes,
stuck in
the
traffic
Primos
on
Chidos,
Thursdays
yeah.
at 12.
Yeah, plug it.
This next episode, I'm gonna mention you specifically. So
No,
I
but-
want you to be driving and be
Okay, I'm
like,
gonna listen.
And I want you to comment live. That's me. That's me.
Yeah, so
you were saying, Brandon? You were saying?
Oh, I mean, do I count as LA? Do I?
I mean, you're in LA a lot, and your girlfriend's from LA. So.
Yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of time. I mean, I went to school, like, you know what I mean.
That's,
So
that's what I was gonna say. I was like, you kind of grew up.
Yeah,
I mean,
I pretty much grew up, and I'm 15 minutes away from you. Like, it's not that far.
it's not that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I've never been much of a people person, so that's my only gripe with it. Is I feel kind of like claustrophobic. There's a lot of people. So whenever I go anywhere, I usually kind of go at night because I don't really.
Yeah. But that's why, like, for us, we're like, bro, we love being in LA because a lot of people want to be here. Like, a lot of people want to be in LA and move to LA, and we're like, we're legit in LA. Like,
that's crazy.
Like, when people are like, what part? I'm like, LA. Like, you want specific Northeast LA? I don't know.
Yeah.
But then I hate when people confuse it with East LA. I'm like,
no,
we're a different part. We're a different part. Yeah.
I like the culture. Like, there's this weird thing where people think LA culture is like influencer culture, where people who come from out of state.
I was gonna ask that.
And they're like,
I was like, y'all see influencers everywhere? Like,
yeah, you do. No, you see influencers everywhere, but like the people who are from native LA are cool. Like, that's where like culturally it's like beautiful. That's if it wasn't for the native people who are in LA wouldn't be as cool, in my opinion. Like, it's all that's the foundation, and like, if anything, influencer culture is what people talk shit about and why people don't like LA.
Exactly.
Because if you hear about, like, oh, there's like South Central, East LA, there's like Boyle Heights, all that, it was all predominantly brown and black people there. And like, now people want to move there. Like, people, like, it's getting gentrified, and that's like the struggle that's happening now, is that there's like that of like, it's getting gentrified, so it's losing its culture, and it's starting to become kind of like a trend now. It's not like you're not getting the authentic anymore of LA. You're getting like something that people
artificial.
think, like the artificial
dream
of it.
that everyone has in their mind.
And that's why some people hate on it, because they're like, oh, like, people are mean and
people
blah
are
blah
fake. Like, people only want something from you.
Yeah, and it's like, that's
I've
not the
heard that a
people.
lot.
Like, that's not the legit native LA people.
Those are the influencers y'all talking about.
Yeah, those are the people who, like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of it is because of like Hollywood, and like people want to be big and all this, and then I think their ego, like how you said, like their ego gets to them, and they're like, they just become very haters, or they become super in their head, and like they're like, no, I'm big shit now. Like, it's kind of like this, and that's why there's a lot of rude people.
And the crazy thing is, like, if they just went inward, it's like, yo, you're already big shit. You know what I mean? Like, as in the sense that you don't need to prove yourself. You don't need to do anything. If you just loved yourself that way and just believed in yourself that way, if you didn't have all that conditioning, dude, you would already be inherently, everyone is big shit. Like, no one's better than anyone. You're that person already.
You're that bitch.
You're that bitch. You don't need to do nothing, baby. So I felt that.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Honestly, that's why, like, I've always, because I like film, I've met, like, a lot of people who are into, like, oh, I want to be famous, like, I want to be that, and that's cool. Like, I don't, like, discourage them. But sometimes I meet people who are very, like, oh, look, can I follow you, like, on Instagram? And I was like, I mean, I just met you, but okay. Sure. And I'm like, and it's like, it's okay, like, I don't really mind, but sometimes I could just tell that it's just like,
it's not for the right reason.
It's not authentic, and that's like the worst part, because it feels so almost creepy. Like,
they trying to use you as like a means for an end. Like, they think like by following you they're gonna get somewhere.
That's what I mean. Like, it feels creepy because it's like you're using me. Like, you're literally just using me. Like, you're gonna toss me aside with whatever you want. You know.
Yeah.
Like, I have a lot of friends. Like, I don't need more. I don't need any like fake friends. You know.
Exactly.
Like,
when you said right now, I want to be famous, reminded me of that. Was it a Vine or it was a Vine? How that or a girl was like eating cookie and she's a little girl and she's like, I want to be famous. I think it was, honestly, it was Vine days. There's a little girl, and she was like eating a cookie, and her mom was like recording her. She's like, oh, like, what do you want for your birthday? She asked like a question like that, and she just turned around and she was like biting a cookie. She's like, I want to be famous. And I was like, she's like 5 years old. Like, dude, that's crazy.
Oh, that's cute. That's what I love about like little kids too. I mean, I don't love little kids, but
it's still fucking kids.
No, we're gonna take that soundbite.
Use that soundbite right there.
Use that soundbite.
No, I have a nephew.
They're setting us up.
Like little kids, like my nephew specifically. Okay, I'm gonna say specifically my nephew. He's like the most adorable little kid ever. Like he has jokes. Like I think it's just because like I joke around with him a lot.
I love that.
But he's so funny. He like I tell him like, let me see your sad face, and he's like, I want to buy a toy. And he's like, he's so smart. Like, dude, seeing him be born like totally changed my perspective on just life in general. Because I feel like it wasn't that I was mean spirited, but I was a lot more like objective when things came, but when he was born, like I was like, damn, bro, that's not funny. Like you shouldn't joke about that. You know, I got a lot more empathy when he was born. I don't know if you feel the same way.
No, honestly, like kids are just like their own little ball of light. And honestly, one of the things that, because sometimes I guess, I don't know if it's ever happened to you guys where you just look back and you're just like, why am I like this? You know, it's like, where did I pick this up from? Like, damn, you know what I mean? Like,
why am I like
this? You know what I mean? And now having my own son, he's gonna be 3 in September. I definitely see that when they're born, dude, they're all love, they're all curiosity, they're all just light and excitement, and they forgive quickly. They forget quickly. Like they're just like, it's just, I can see why as humans we're just so conditioned to be mad, to be judgmental, to be all these things, you know, and why you grow up dimming your light and protecting yourself, you know, because all of these things. And it's just like, damn, no, kids are truly, they're something else. They're definitely a blessing, and I hear that. I hear everyone say that they're a blessing, but I definitely do think that not everyone should have children. It's definitely something that I believe that I'm just like, especially if you don't have that self-awareness, if you don't have like where you've healed, where you're like, okay, like where you know yourself and your values and you know what your needs and you know just how to manage your emotions, like all of these things that no one barely focuses on, you know, and they just have kids because it's like an aesthetic, or you know life says it's time to get married and have kids, and so everyone just has kids and then they're fucking them up, and I'm just like, yo, it makes me so mad. Like, stop having kids. Use protection.
Do you think kids can see ghosts?
Oh, for sure. Mine doesn't. I don't think it. I haven't seen anything, but I definitely think heck yeah, because I don't know if you ever heard that kids actually from like 1 to 7 they're operating from a kind of like a hypnosis state. Have you guys ever heard that?
Never heard of that.
Yeah. Okay. From the year 1 through 7, our brain we're operating at like a, damn, I don't want to butcher this, y'all. I'm sorry, but there's waves, you know, and there's names for our wavelength that we're operating from. When you're a grown adult, we're all at the same like wavelength where we're operating from. But children, when they record like the wavelengths of their brain and like their neuroplasticity and like what like the level they're at, which like creates their habits and their beliefs and stuff, it's at they call it a hypnosis state. So it means that they're basically from 1 to 7, children are being programmed. So it means that, and they say that those years are the most crucial because that's where they form their beliefs, their values, the way they're going to think about the world, the way they're going to think about themselves, the way they're going to handle emotions, the way they're going to relate to people. And that's why I feel like children are the most vulnerable and they're the most special, because you really are, when you have a child, you're really taking on the responsibility of like forming another human being, you know, another person of society, you know, and what do you want that person to look like? Do you want it to be like someone that's like, you know, a team player, you know, that someone that's going to be uplifting and loving to its community, or do you want, you know, and a lot of people don't think about that. A lot of people are just like, okay, we just have a kid, like we're just gonna raw dog it, take it day by day, and of course you don't know what it's like to be a parent until you are, you know, and you learn day by day as you take it. And I do believe everyone tries the best they can, but I do think that there is things you can do before you have a child if you consciously think about it, you know, and you make the choice, you know, like, and you decide, okay, I'm gonna wait until maybe I need to look more into this and then look more into that, or you know, I don't know, just little things. I feel like a lot of as a society we're not taught to have those conversations before you have children. It's just like, I'm ready, I'm married, so it must mean that it's time to have children, you know. And but yeah, so it's like I definitely think children are special. I think there's a lot to learn from them, and I learned so much from my son every single day. Did you feel you were ready when you? Oh fuck no. 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 I not at all. And if I'm being completely honest, and I actually, if I'm just gonna be like a real open book here, guys. I actually did want to have an abortion when I got pregnant, and I'm not ashamed to say it. You know, I definitely feel like it's your choice if you know if you feel like you're ready or not. I definitely felt like I was not ready, but I was in a committed relationship at the time, and I did feel like, okay, like I have a partner who I'm gonna do it with. And at the time, I wasn't on my spiritual journey. I wouldn't consider myself like woke at the time at all. So I really just thought the way like society thinks. It's like, okay, like I could have an abortion, but I also don't want to go through the process and I'm like, okay, can I have a kid, you know? And then I just started thinking, I raised my siblings, you know, my 2 younger siblings. I grew up with kids. I know what it's like to change diapers, to feed kids, to play with kids. I know what it's like. So I thought this is going to be a breeze. Like, I got this. Like, it's not a problem. And I was like, okay, I already know I'm going to have my free time, you know, like I know I'm not, my life isn't going to be over. So I thought I knew what it was going to be like having a kid. And no, it's like the rug is just slipped off right under you. Like, you literally, your life does a complete 180, because obviously when you're taking care of a kid, you can give it back at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Or if you take care of it, it's only like 2-3 hours, but then suddenly it becomes a 24/7 job. No breaks, even if you're having a bad day, even if you're not in the mood, even if you're sick, even if there's no one to help you, you have to do it. And it's like, and not just that, but like, there's definitely a lot of good in having a kid and a lot of strength and motivation, but there's also a lot of triggering, a lot of, especially when you have like a lot of things in yourself that you might, for example, you mentioned in the podcast, you told them like on your show, you said, oh, would you want to have a kid even if you have the mentality of like, I want to be alone? And you said, well, I don't know, like, I don't know yet, you know, I wouldn't know. That's definitely something you should take into account. If you enjoy your alone time, just know that if you have a kid, you're never going to be alone.
Yeah.
Never. Unless you have that community of that help. You know, I say it takes a village to raise a kid. That's so true. Because as a person, I feel like it's like demonized. Like, if you want to break, or if you just, you know, things like that. No, like, dude, you need them. You're human at the end of the day. If you have that support, if you have that community that they're willing to watch your kid for a couple hours a day, even a weekend, even if they have their grandparents, do it. It's so important to fill your own cup, to forget that you're not just a parent. A parent is only like a part of you, but you're still so many other things. It's not your identity. Because these kids are going to grow up one day and they're going to form their own lives, and they're going to be like, what am I? And that's a lot. That's something that happens a lot with mothers. They lose themselves completely in like motherhood, and they make that their whole identity, and they end up feeling depressed, or like, you know, just a lot of things. And it's like, fill your own cup, you know. But going back to, I feel like I'm just ranting.
No, that's cool. I was like, but you know what? Can I say like?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think that's like a cultural thing? Because I know we're all like Latino and Hispanic here. Do you think that's like for us? Me and my sister are Mexican.
Yeah.
I feel like it's such a Mexican thing to be like, you're a parent, and that's mainly that's your responsibility. That's all you are.
For sure, especially when we, like, for example, like I told you guys, my dad worked as a breadwinner, and my mom was always like the stay-at-home mom, and her whole identity. And growing up, she would always be like, "Mi vida es por ustedes," like, "Mi vida son ustedes, mis hijos," like, "Yo doy mi vida por ustedes." So she always made it seem like her whole identity and her whole life was having children. And I could see that as someone who never had a job, never had aspirations, never had anything, to see raising a child as like something they're proud of, which I definitely agree with, because it is hard work. And I hate when people are like, oh, you're a stay-at-home mom, that's nothing. Like, that's, you know, that grinds my gears, because it's hard work. I think it's harder than any job. Yeah. And I've heard dads that been like breadwinners, and then they flipped it, that they like switched spots with their wives, and they became like the stay-at-home dads, and they'll say all the time, this is the hardest job I've ever done. And so it makes me mad to hear that, where it's like, oh, like, you're a stay-at-home mom, like, you know, people like play it down. Dude, it's a lot of work. But definitely I do think it has to do with like the whole, like, you know, the cultural aspect of it, because, you know, when I think back on like my grandmothers and all they ever did was be a stay-at-home mom, and all their identity ever was wrapped up on, you know, raising these children and doing the best they can, and feeding them and clothing them and bathing them, and, you know, being their entertainment, and just, it's like you're being their doctor, being everything. You're just like juggling all these different things. And I do think that they kind of, in a sense, like, kind of expect that of you, but I don't think that they know even themselves that it's because of their way of like conditioning, where it's like that's kind of like what they had to do, so they just kind of think, oh, well, that's what you have to do, it's what's expected of you. But I think we're growing out of that. I'm glad to say I feel like this generation is definitely kind of getting to a place where it's like, if I do want to be a mother, cool, be a mother, but I can also be a lawyer, I can also be a doctor, I can also be an artist, I can also be a writer. Like, it doesn't have to revolve around completely around children. Yeah.
Did you feel like you had to deal with that with like your own mother? If you feel like comfortable.
No, honestly, my mom is young. My mom's barely like 43. So I don't consider her to be one of like the like older thinking kind of like Hispanic women. My mom has always, if anything, my mom, one of the things she would always tell me is "Cásate con alguien con dinero." Like she would say shit like that, and I would be like, "Girl, chill." Like, you know, like that's not even what my mind's on, you know. But she, you know, it's funny that you say that because, like I told you guys earlier, I was a big like party girl in high school. Like, oh God, I was partying every weekend, and even when I got graduated high school, it was even worse because I was going out Wednesday, Thursdays, you know, like college nights. Like I was always like clubbing, just partying, never doing drugs or anything like that. But I was just like drinking, you know, just getting home 4 a.m, like, and my mom and dad were just mad at me all the time. A lot of times they even try to kick me out because they're like, "You're not gonna follow my rules," like then leave, and I would be like, "Girl, well, I'll leave then, like it's fine." Like I just really was like, as soon as I turned 18, I was like, "You guys are not gonna control me. I'm gonna do whatever I want. Like I'm going to college, I'm paying my own bills." Because as soon as I turned 18, like I had to pay rent already, I had to pay my phone bill, I had to pay all these things. And it's like, okay, cool, if that's what it's gonna be like, well then I'm gonna get home whatever time I'm gonna get at. But they still wanted me to control me in that sense, and I was like, no, like either I pay bills and do everything I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna be on my own time, or I'm not gonna pay shit and I'll be on your time. How do you want to play it? And they didn't want it that way. They didn't want to compromise, and it's like, okay, well, if you guys want to kick me out, you can kick me out. And so for me, I was definitely like that, like the black sheep of the family that's just like, no, I'm not gonna do what you say. And eventually they learned. But my mom still was never cool with me just partying the way that I would always party. And she actually told me that she prayed pregnancy on my life. She told me when I got pregnant, she was so happy. She was so happy. And she was like, "Oh, gracias a Dios, yo le pedí a Dios que te mandara un hijo para que te calmara porque salías mucho, dude." And I was like, wow, you're so fucked up for that, because like I was really just living my best life.
Did it work though?
No. And that's the crazy part. And my mom says that now. She was like, now I see like that wasn't like the solution. And I feel like a lot, even when people are having like marital issues, like people say like, pues ten un hijo a ver like si eso arregla las cosas. You know, you've heard that a lot. And it's like, child is never the fucking answer. Yeah. And that's always like the fucked up thing to me, because people are over here having all these kids and fucking them up, and it's like, and it's not even like it wasn't because you genuinely like wanted that, you know. It was just like you thought it was gonna be like a fix to like whatever issue was going on, you know. Thank God I feel like having my child though definitely started my healing journey. So I'm grateful that I had him overall. Definitely there are moments, not anymore, but in the beginning, like the first year of his life, I was like depressed a lot. I honestly, the first year of his life is really like a blur to me. I was just like very like just depressed. Like it was really hard for me to kind of like come to terms with my new reality, you know. Even though a lot of things I still could do, I wasn't on my own time, you know. I didn't have my freedom, like my spontaneity, like how do you say spontaneity? I wasn't spontaneous anymore. So it was like a lot of things, like my old life, I was grieving it, you know. So yeah, but thank God he's gonna be 3 now, and I wouldn't change it for the world. And that's one thing that's true. People say like it's hard, but I wouldn't change it, and that's a fact. Like even if I could like go back in time and do things differently, like just knowing my son, even how hard it's been to get to where I am, it's still been like, it's definitely like helped me for the better. So I would not change it. But I still wouldn't recommend people to have kids. Like I'm always like, I'm still like, get a vasectomy, you know, to be on your birth control, do what you have to do, girly. But don't have kids.
No kids.
That's like the realest response you can have. I mean, you still keep by your standards. I mean, your beliefs. It doesn't matter whether you have a kid or not.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
You see, how is that hard for other people?
It's so funny. It's so funny. I always joke around with my sister because I mentioned my nephew. Every time we finish hanging out with him, I was like, you see, it's not that hard to be a parent.
I'm like, bro, it's just we give him away.
I know. It's like because we could just give him away.
Because when he was born, he still lived at home with us. So we would still hear him like cry and like all these things. And then my mom would tell me, I'm like, Mom, that's not my kid. I'm not gonna change diapers. Like, no, I'm not ready for that. Like, that's not me. Like, I don't want to be around kids. And I think just me in general, like, or kind of I like go between like having kids or not having kids. But like seeing my nephew, I was kind of like, yeah, I'm not ready yet, bro. Like, this isn't for me. Like, just seeing how he was raised and like everything that you have to do for a kid, it's just like, it's like a lot of responsibility. And like it's great that a lot of women have been able to do it, but I'm kind of like, I'm not ready. Like, me as a woman, I'm not ready at this age to like do it. I feel like because I also have things that I still want to do.
Exactly.
And I know that once I have a kid, it's like I'm not thinking for myself anymore. I'm thinking for another person.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like, do it when you're ready, you know. And like also I always tell people like just be safe about it. Like if you are gonna do like things, just be like safe about it and like all that stuff. And I know in today's world it's a little hard because of like everything that's been happening, but I'm just like, just do it when you're ready, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel like and if you're not, like, that's okay too. Like, I feel like how you said, like, society kind of like pressures you to do that. And I think just in general, our culture has been like, it's all about family.
Oh yeah.
And for us, it's like pushed on a lot
like how do
more.
you not have a family?
Yeah, it's like people see it as sad as like, oh, you, like how we said, like being alone, like it's like sad, but it's like, no, like I like being like, if I just want to be with my partner, like that's it, like I'm like, that's my satisfaction. Like I feel like kids maybe might not satisfy me or something. I'm just like, okay, like that's fine, like it's okay.
They're not
to do
that
that.
great.
Yeah,
You're fine. I was like, no. Like, and I feel like,
I'm like, fuck them kids,
no,
bro.
fuck the kids. And you know what? Like I feel like another thing, it's like you said, it's like family is a big thing in our culture, and it's like, how could you not have a family? So we kind of like feel bad in a sense, kind of like stray away from that way of thinking. But we also forget that you don't need to have a kid to kind of be there for a kid, if that makes sense. Like I saw this video one time of this girl who was like 40, and they asked her like, oh, like, do you regret not having any children? And she was like, hell no. She was like, because my sister and my brother have kids. And she was like, and I see them at least once a week all the time, and I drive and I pick them up, you know, we have sleepovers and I play with them, and I'm kind of like there for them like a parent would be, but in like a funner type of parent. She's like, because they're not actually my kids. So I kind of get that fulfillment of like having children through them, because I'm able to play with them, feed them, you know, bathe them when they're here, you know, do like the whole like parent, like sibling, like parent-child experience. And and she said another aspect that I love that parents don't have is that because I'm not their parent, they open up to me easier, like telling me their secrets, and like, you know, kind of like sharing things that they're being more vulnerable, and it's like, oh, like Tia, like this, or like things like that, which is, I think it's another completely beautiful aspect of like just having children in general. It doesn't mean you have to have children. You can share like that parental kind of like love with kids that are not yours, you know, just how you adopt or you foster. You can also do it with like you said your nephew, you know. You don't have to be a parent, you can kind of get that through him. And the best part is you give him back when you're done. So it's like, you know, so it's like I honestly, like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a one and done. I'm not having no more kids. Like, it's like that. Like, so it's like I love my son and I love him a lot, and a lot of people always tell me like, but oh no, like an only child, like that's terrible. And it's like, that's terrible because like you didn't want to care for your kids, so you give them siblings so you could have people to play with. But I play with my son, like yo me tiro en el piso, I play with him for hours. Like, I'm a very active, involved, present parent, you know. And it's like, I feel like if he has that, like, he's not gonna feel like he needs anything. But I also realize that he needs kids his own age to play with, and I hang out with my sister who has kids all the time, so he gets that from them, and he has play dates, so he has little friends. So it's like, I don't feel personally like my son's gonna lack anything, you know what I mean? So I'm a one and done. So I'm just saying, like, you know, I don't know, I just feel like to each their own. Don't feel bad if you don't want to have children. They're not all that society. I just definitely think that a lot of people just like talk about the good, which is awesome, but no one really likes to talk about the flip side of the coin.
I just think it's
like
interesting.
you're gonna beef with like little kids.
Literally.
I just,
oh my
I just love, and it's interesting that like you had one and you're still like, nah, like if you don't want them, that's cool. You're not like preaching to us, like, no, you should have them, like they're the biggest blessing
If
ever.
anything, Saul could tell you, I'm always like, fuck them kids. Like, not my kids, but fuck them kids. Like, no, literally. It's a lot, y'all. Like, and honestly, like, having my son, I mean, I don't know how it's gonna be like down the line, you know, as he gets older. You know, I'm taking it day by day, but I could definitely see it as something I could have lived without, if I'm being completely honest. Because I have a bunch of nieces, nephews, and all of these things, and I see them 24/7. It's like, I know they say that the love that you have for a niece and nephew is different from your own sibling, which I could see it, But personally, for me, for the most part, it feels the same. Like, I would die for my niece and my nephew. I only have an older sister who has 2 kids. And personally, to me, it feels the same. Like, I would die for them. I play with them the same. I speak to them the same. I treat them like if they're my own. So personally, to me, it's the same feeling. Only different thing is my son's with me 24/7, you know? So it's like, so me personally, it's not any different. I could have lived without it.
That's literally what I saw my brother a week ago, and they were talking with my mom and my dad, and he was like, they were just talking about when me or my sister would have kids.
Yeah.
And I told them, like, I feel like having having my nephew and having your son, like, it makes me not want to have kids. Not in the sense of, like, like, you've discouraged me, but in the sense of, like, I feel like I have so much love for him that, like, if I never have kids, it's okay because I'll always have him.
Exactly. And honestly, like, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I don't think... So
when I literally heard him, like, my mom was on the phone with my dad when my nephew was being born, and she forgot to turn it off. So me and my dad woke up at like 3 a.m, and he's like, look, listen to it, and I got to hear my nephew, like, born and his cries. Yeah, and since then, like, I knew, like, when I went to the hospital and I saw him, I was like, wow, I've never felt like such an overwhelming love for, like, this new thing. Yeah.
It's so precious.
Like you said, like, I would die for them. I would literally take a bullet for them.
You would. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, like, that feeling though, like, them being born is so surreal. Like, it feels like you're in like a movie. It doesn't feel real. Like, when you, like, birth a baby. It's, even as a parent, like, even my baby's dad was there. Obviously, he watched everything. Even we spoke about after, and he was like, yo, like, that feeling, like, just that moment where, like, it's actually coming out of you, and it's like now they're on your chest, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on right now? Like, no way. Like, it's crazy.
No
it's
way.
Crazy experience. It's beautiful.
Do you ever think about, when I see my nephew, I always think about, like, when I was a kid, and I have, like, small memories of being that young, and, like, I remember being in an apartment and seeing a guy with a Laker jersey. At the time, I didn't know what the Lakers were, but I remember seeing that. Do you ever feel like your son, like, sees stuff and you're like, I hope he doesn't remember that? Or I wonder if he does, who will remember this.
Dude, you know, I do. My son, because you know how, me and my son bathe together. Not anymore. I'm already kind of trying to transition out of that. And I read a lot of articles that talked about, like, when is it, like, the time for them to stop seeing you naked? And it's really it's really more like a personal thing. Like, it's more about, like, take, like, the cues from the children. Are they staring at you too long? Are they, like, trying to touch you inappropriately? Are they, like, do they feel uncomfortable? Like, even if they, like, try to look away, or, like, you know, if they don't want to shower with you, like, start taking the cues from the child. But even you personally, do you feel uncomfortable? Things like that. So my son, one of the things that he likes to do, whether I'm clothed or not, he likes to run behind me and, like, squish his face in my ass. Like, he'll, like, whether I'm wearing jeans or, like, I'm naked, or, like, when we get out the shower, he just loves to go and, like, press his face in my ass. Like, literally, one time it went, like, my cheeks open, and I was like, I had to smack him. I didn't want to, but my instinct was just, like, smack him away from me. Like, dude, like, what the fuck? Like, you know, just little things like that. I hope he doesn't remember that. So there's definitely moments where I'm just like, yo, and that was one of the biggest things. When my cheeks open, I was like, that's it. We're done. There's no way we're not showering together no more. It's done. It's not happening. So there definitely are moments where you're just like, I hope he never.
I always think the funny moments are, like, when we're high and we're, like, just chilling with him.
No,
because we're like, I wonder if he can tell if something's going on.
He's gonna grow up and be like,
he's like,
it smelled different whenever I was around.
He's like, you guys would always act different. Yeah, there's something in the air.
You guys are always more chill.
You guys would always play longer.
Yeah.
And it's true. Like, when I'm high and I play with him, like, it hits different. I feel like a little kid again.
Exactly. I'm not gonna lie. I've been high with my son too. Because I have 2 younger sisters that live with me, so there'll be times where I'll be like, not high to get, like, stupid high, but sometimes it's just a stressful day, and I'm just like, I need to take 1 hit, maybe 2, just to kind of take the edge off, you know. And it's like, I know my son's safe. I know I'm safe. I know I don't act a fool. So I'm like, sometimes you need it, and I don't shame parents. Like, do what works best for you. Yeah. But I definitely agree. Sometimes when you're a little high, it just helps better to play longer, to be more present, to kind of go with the flow, you know. Because sometimes I'm, like, sober and I'm playing with him, and my son's very organized, very particular. Like, if he's playing, like, it has to be his way. The cars all have to be facing the same way. Like, he's very, like, my way or the highway. And as someone, like, it's frustrating, like, I'm not like that. So for me, it's like, oh, like, dude, I just want to freaking crash into your car. I just want to fuck everything up, dude. Like, let's get wild. Come on. And he's just like, no, like, he's calm, he's organized, and so when I'm like hide, I'm just like, all right, let's go, dude. You want to park it here? Park it there. You know, you want to line them up? All right, dude, let's park them. You know, it's just you're just more relaxed. It's like your brain that wants to be in control, like that aspect, or that just wants things to be your way. It's kind of like shut off, and it's kind of like cool, like yeah, like it's all vibes.
Do you have any like embarrassing memories of when you were a kid, whether from like that young or like even like middle school?
Embarrassing moments.
I remember one time I don't know why I had like when I was younger I was like roller backpacks are like in like they're cool.
Wait, what backpack?
Roller backpacks, like the ones you roll. Even though by
hey,
like 7th grade everybody had like backpacks they'd wear.
And you still had the roller?
Yeah. And
I love
one time like it's as if the universe was telling me it was time to stop. There was like these steps that you get off of my middle school, and I got my roller backpack and I was going there, and the like handle ripped off, and then the like backpack ripped open, and all my paper, and I was a messy kid, so I would just throw papers in there. Yeah. So it just kind of like exploded with papers everywhere, and it was so embarrassing. Like everyone was leaving school and just passing by as I was like a little kid, because I would walk home. I would always walk home.
So you were in 7th grade with the roller backpack.
Yeah.
And in 6th grade, do you remember? Did people still have them in 6th grade or not?
And by the time I know for a fact I was the only kid with a roller backpack.
I think by like
it was like my thing.
School,
I remember that.
Right?
So you owned it. You were like, "Fuck everybody." I'm
I was proud. Like I would put like orange tape on it. Like decorated it.
He doesn't have back problems.
Dude, have you guys seen like those luggages that have like they're like you can sit on them and like you can like
ride
them?
Yeah.
Imagine having those in middle school. That would have been sick as fuck.
Yeah,
that would have changed the game.
Literally.
Changed the game.
Personally, the only embarrassing thought that comes to my mind right now, sadly, was not in middle school. It was in high school. I was 15. I was going to try quinceañera dresses. I'm so embarrassed. Anyways, I was gonna try like the big puffy like quinceañera dresses, and before we went to like the store, we went to eat like Mexican food, like all my tias and I. And it was like, I don't know, it just didn't sit well with me that day, so I was like farting a lot. And I put on like a big like fat dress, and I really needed to fart, but I was holding it in, because I was like a bunch of girls around me and like trying on dresses, and like the lady that was helping me take them off and put them on like the dresses, they're big as fuck. So I was like, no, I can't fart, But then I finally got like this big ass, like the biggest one I had like worn, and it dragged like really heavy, so I was like, if I fart, like no one's gonna smell it, it's gonna stay contained like in the dress, so it's fine. Like those farts, like when they burn, like they smell like even worse, like burn your butthole. So I was like, fuck, man, like this is bad, but I'm gonna just let it rip. And I did. And as soon as I fucking let it rip, the girl was like, all right, well, I'm gonna have to take the dress off because there's another girl here that wants to try it on. And the way that you take it off, she has to go under the dress to kind of like untie it from like the bottom, like of like my waist. Bitch.
You gassed her.
Poor girl. And I remember I shared this story and everybody was like, why didn't you tell her, like, wait, like let me walk around a little more? I was too stunned to speak. Like I was literally I was like, this girl is just, and dude, literally like the moment like the fart like stopped, she told me that. So it was like literally not even like a minute, she was already under my dress, and I just knew, she ate that shit. She ate that shit. She was like, oh my god. And yeah, that was like the most embarrassing. And when she came back up, I could not look her in the face. I remember I was just looking down, looking to the side, and she was telling me like, okay, like I just could not like look at her face because obviously I knew I don't know if I was gonna like get like a reaction or something. I was like, I don't want to look. I was like, I'm not looking at the bitch.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, like that's the most embarrassing thing.
Brandon, do you have any
embarrassing kid stories?
Or do you remember in high school when we went to Hollywood and the bird shit on you?
Oh, gee, yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Can I say that story?
Yeah, if you want. You already did, basically.
I mean, yeah. It was
it's out there now.
I thought it was so funny because
I was saving that for Conan, bro.
Oh, that's the Conan story.
For the Joe Rogan show.
Because it was just so funny. We when we were younger, obviously, like I said, I liked going out, so we took the bus all the way to Hollywood. And we got there, and then we just like stopped on something like I don't know what it was. It was like some like red light, and then just like you just hear all these like drops like everywhere, and like I see that it's shit. It's like bird shit. And I'm like looking at myself like, oh shit, like as if like I heard a gunshot, like hoping I didn't get shot.
Am I good?
Yeah. And then I look over and bro, he was covered. Like head, shirt, pants, shoes, everything was hit. And he's like frozen. And then we went straight home. We didn't even like, and then we went straight home, and the entire bus ride he had to sit there covered in bird shit.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That I'm sorry I had to share that for you.
But you know what? That's I don't know, like the fact that
lucky?
It's good
that's
luck.
what I'm
Good luck,
saying.
bro.
Like
Yeah.
it really just feels like look, like the fact they were like there in that exact moment, like you know.
You're lucky, bro.
Yeah.
Count your blessings.
Yeah.
Yeah. It could have been like he said, it could have been a bullet.
Look who's laughing now. Yeah.
Do you have any though?
I mean, I remember one time in high school, I like fell down the stairs.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Like, but this was before I transferred to the high school you went to.
Oh, Jefferson.
Yeah, I went to like a Catholic school,
Okay.
and they had like these stairs, and nobody was around. It was just an inside like staircase, and I don't know what I was doing. I just like missed a step and I smacked, and like I was like, oh. Because it really hurt. I remember that. But I mean, I don't think anybody was really around, and if they were, thank God they didn't say anything.
Have you guys ever had any of those moments where it's like kind of like maybe not instant karma, but like it literally gets to you? Like for example, I was at Lido Creek one time. I don't know if you guys ever, well, you guys live in LA, but here for me, at least like my family here and friends here, it was a thing to like go to Lido Creek in the summer. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Lido Creek. Probably not. I'm sorry. It's like a little river kind of going up the mountains. And it's just like a little river in the summer. Like everybody would go like barbecue and shit up there. And my family would go often. And I remember one time we went and my cousin, she was on her period, so she was wearing a pad. We were young, so she didn't wear tampons yet. And she was like, we got on the river and everything. I don't know why the fuck she got in the river with her pad on, but anyway, when we got out, we were walking back like to where everybody was like eating, and like we just heard like a little like boop, like a plant, and like we look and her pad fell out of her like pants, and I hopped on her head. Like I'm not gonna lie, like back in the day, I was very like. I just love to hop on people's heads and like joke and like it could come off very dickish, you know. Like, but to me, I was trying to be funny, but you know, it probably wasn't. Yeah. And so I was like clowning on her, and then maybe like 2-3 days later, we were at my grandma's house, and we were like playing like the sprinklers. Like she had like this like hose thing that like were just splash water everywhere. Players were running around and everything, and I was on my period then, and I was wearing a pad too, and then my pad fell, like, and there was boys there from like the block and everything, so I got karma like from like I think because I hopped on her head, so then my pad fell out and it was embarrassing, and I just like learned like the lesson. It was like, yo, like you talk shit, like make people feel bad, like it's gonna come back to you, and that's honestly happened to me a lot. Like for example, like my sister, she can't say her left and her right's in Spanish, and I would again always clowning on her, always hopping on her head, like haha, no sabo, okay, like just say shit like that, and then like a couple months later, I started confusing my left and rights in English, in fucking English, not even Spanish. Like I would be like on like giving directions like in the passenger seat, and I would have to go left, and I'd be like, go right, and then they start going like left. I mean, they start going right, and I'd be like, no, I meant left, and they'd be like, you fucking said right, and I'd be like, bro, like I started confusing my own. Like it started happening to me, or like this other time. I'm going I'm always doing. Not gonna lie, that's happened to me a lot, where it's like
Karma.
Like this other time, like my other sister, she can't really hear. She like one of her ears, like she needed like one of those, what do they call, like the hearing
aids
piece, like the hearing aids, but she never got one because my parents were just like, bro, figure it out.
Figure it out.
Yeah, that's life.
It wasn't that bad. I guess her hearing wasn't that bad where she like needed it that bad, but it would have helped her immensely. But my parents were like, we're just not trying to pay for all that, you know, so they just never got her one. So from one of her ears, like she just can't hear, and it just over there, it just became like a joke in the family, I guess, where like we would speak to her and like she couldn't hear us, or like we would be like a little far and we would say something that otherwise anybody else could hear, but she just couldn't, and we just clown on her, you know. And then one time I feel like I just took it too far, like clowning on her, and I'd be like, oh, she's fucking deaf, or like she can't hear you, like just making little comments like that. And then dude, I just hit a point where I couldn't hear shit. Like people would talk to me and I would be like, huh, like I would just always like, what? And then it never fails. As soon as like karma starts hitting me, like I immediately get like the thought or like the moment of why this is happening. So it's like when I couldn't hear, when I kept like repeating like I immediately got like the memory of like when I would like tell my sister, oh, you're fucking deaf. Like it's like God telling me like this is why it's happening, bitch.
Dude, yeah, I like 100%. Like I really believe in karma. And
karma.
Stuff. I lost my favorite shirt. I told my sister about it, and I was thinking like, what did I do? What did I like?
What did I deserve it?
But I was like genuinely thinking like, what was I doing that like? Why did I lose my favorite shirt? But specifically an example where I got karma was the first year I got my license, I was like in CSUN because like around Northridge. I was visiting like a friend, and then I left there with another one of my friends, and we were both in cars, and we just like started drag racing like all over, and nothing happened. Like it was Friday 13. I had like a Jason Voorhees jockey jersey on, and I put on the mask while driving, and like we were going like 80, like we were just like messing around, but nothing happened. But like about like 20 minutes later, we're at a red light, like 3 a.m. I'm chilling. Scotty Doesn't Know comes on, like a song that I really like. I turn it up and I'm like, oh shit, this is my. And then boom, like a car hits me from behind.
What?
Yeah, a drunk driver just like crashes into me. Yeah.
Oh my god.
And like it like messed up my back. Like I had to go to like
shit.
like physical therapy for a few months, and then I was like, damn, I didn't even get in the accident. Drag racing.
Yeah.
I got in an accident, stopped at a red light.
But it was like a wake up call. Like,
Yeah.
hey,
I still have that jersey. I have not worn it since that happened. Yeah.
What do you think? Like, if you
it was
wear
my sister's car too. I totaled her car. She lost it. Yeah, I was borrowing
it. But you got checked for that though, no?
Yeah.
I got a check.
No, he did.
They didn't like give you like the amount of the car.
My parents ended up getting another car for me, which is the car that I have now.
Yeah,
love that.
Even
you were saying though.
Was I gonna say something?
I thought something. No, yeah, but
about the shirt, about like.
So do you feel like if you wear it again, something bad's gonna happen, or you're just like?
It's just weird because like it was like he crashed into me pretty hard. Like it shattered. I mean, it totaled the car.
Yeah, it totaled the car.
Yeah, and then like he tried to
truck.
fight us.
No way.
Yeah, like it's a whole story. Like it's a whole other story for a whole other time. But like I had to go to physical therapy, and like I was commuting from LA to Fullerton for like school. So I had to drive for like 2 hours. My back hurting. Like I was by myself. Like it was definitely like one of the lowest points like in recent memory where I was just like super sad about it. Like so I don't know. I still keep it there. Like I haven't donated it, but I just look at it. I'm like, I'm never gonna wear this again because I was just taunting because it's Friday 13. So like I'm gonna wear Jason Voorhees.
Right.
Like I'm gonna wear the mask. Like I'm gonna just be reckless. Like nothing's gonna happen.
Crazy.
And then something did happen.
Wow.
And then ever since then,
You should give it to somebody you don't like.
True.
Nah, I feel like that's like double karma.
That's true.
But it's like, you know, a movie. Like, here you go,
like,
man.
Like it's all about intention, right? Like if you're giving it with the intention of like, oh, like you feel like it's bad luck, so I'm giving it to you because I feel like it's bad luck. Like that's kind of like bad intention. So it would make sense. Like karma would get you even worse.
It's looking kind of a cool shirt too. Like I if somebody did want it, I guarantee somebody would want it. It's a hockey jersey and it says like Jason Voorhees on it. Friday 13, like it's all in blood.
Ooh, you should
it's
frame
pretty
it.
cool, yeah.
And that story reminded me of I used to drive a Camry. Tell me why the fuck did I be in the freeway? Bitches always wanted to race me in my Camry. Like dude, I would be like at a light or like in the freeway or like a what are those cars called? Like a challenge?
Oh, the challenge.
Oh, like
Challenge.
the Chargers or
Yeah.
like the cars like that would always
Yeah.
want to race me. I'd be like, bro, you fucking see me in a Camry. The fuck am I gonna do? My Camry like racing? Like you think I'm really gonna win? Like I'd be at a red light and they'd be like revving their engine at me and I'd be like, yo, like what about my car makes you think?
It's because Camrys are like the starter car for in the car scene. Because I have a few friends who are in the
really?
car scene. Yeah,
Shut the fuck
that's like
up.
the.
Over here like what? Over here like really?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Camrys are like the starter car for like because they look like kind of speedsters, like they look like they're fast cars, and they kind of are very like versatile in the way they move. So a lot of people who are in the car scene and want to like eventually upgrade, their initial car is the Camry.
Shut the fuck up.
Also, the Camry is the most stolen car in I think the United States or at least in California.
No.
Yeah.
Thank you. Maybe I needed to hear that because I was always like, "Is it me? Do I look
Is
like
it
I fucking
me?
want
Is
to
it
race?
me?
Like, I don't get it. What is giving the
They're
vibe?
initiating you.
Dude, literally, and I'm always like scared. Like, yo, like I barely hit 60. Like, what do you mean? Like, no. But yeah, that's wild.
Do you like driving?
No.
No, you don't like driving?
No, I hate driving. Like, if I could be in the passenger seat all the time, I would love. I mean, I don't like if I have to do it, I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, you know what? I don't hate it. I guess I would just prefer, like, if I had the choice, like, if someone offers to drive, I'd be like, yeah, fuck yeah, cool, drive.
Same.
But if I had to do it, it wouldn't bother me because going back, like, I don't know if I told you guys earlier that I like space out. Like, I'm just like,
Yeah.
I told you that happens to me a lot when I'm driving.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not always bad, you know, like it depends like what I'm listening to or like what I'm thinking about. Like sometimes I just get really, it's like, how the fuck did I get here? Like, you know, you just kind of like really go on autopilot mode.
Yeah.
So that happens to me a lot. So I feel like that's kind of like the big reasons why if it comes to like a long drive, I guess I don't, thankfully up to today, I haven't gone into like an accident or anything like that, but it always happens where like I space out a lot. And I go in autopilot mode a lot. So I feel like that's kind of like my reasoning as to why I just rather not to when it comes to like big drives. I always would rather someone else drive. But no, I don't. I guess I don't hate driving. I do enjoy it. I could. It just, like I said, it goes back to the whole like spacing out thing. Or just like, fuck. Like,
I don't know. Brandon, do you mind driving?
I miss the bus. I used to really like taking the bus. I feel like it's the best place to listen to a good album.
Funny.
Dude, have you ever taken the bus in Mexico?
I've never been to Mexico.
No?
No, I haven't.
Dude.
Why? Does it suck?
Dude, no, it's actually pretty fun. A lot of people don't hate it because it's like really bumpy. You know, the roads are kind of fucked up over there, but it's such a vibe. Like,
such a vibe.
honestly, I'm not gonna like. I'm very like. I like to be thrown around. I know it sounds wrong, but for example, like one of my mom's brothers growing up was super into like racing, drag racing, but he would go to like car meets and like he would race other cars, and he had like a super pimped out like Honda Civic, and he would always go to race meets. And one time he took me and my older sister, and he had like an unexpected like some car, like we were leaving the race meet. He wasn't supposed to race. We're just like doing like a meetup, but then when we were leaving, a car like tried to race him, and my uncle, you know, he's like, he never backs down for like anything, so he was like, fuck yeah. So they started racing, and we were just being thrown around in the back, like, oh, like fuck. And it just, I don't know why, like the feeling of just being like tossed around, like it just makes me laugh so much. Like even like I remember I have a memory of like when I was like 10 or like 8, and we got like hit from the back as well, like a car accident, but then another car hit like the back of the car, and then we were just like, we again tossed around from like the hitting, and me and my sister were just cracking up. So I feel like again, like I don't know why, like I just, the feeling of just being, I don't know,
It's funny.
like my body just being like,
We're gonna take
like,
that snippet.
dude. I don't know why.
It's funny you keep saying like getting hit from the back too, because I remember when I got in my car accident, all my friends kept clowning at me and be like, I can't believe you let another guy hit you from the back.
No, yeah, but again, going back to like the whole bus thing, and there's a lot of potholes, so it's a lot of like doing, like a lot of just like being taught, and then it's happened a lot where like I'm sitting next to like my prima or something, and like it'll be like a big pothole where like boom hit each other, and we'll just start cracking up. It's just, I don't know, it's just funny to me, like being thrown around. Like I just like being in the bus, but I've never been on the bus here, like in the U.S.
Really?
I've never gone on a bus here or like a metro or either, like nothing. I need to pop my cherry still. But
I feel like I get why you miss the bus. Like it in LA, it is kind of a vibe. I feel like it's,
you don't
pretty
don't
nice.
have to worry about parking.
Yeah.
Or gas.
Yeah.
But it takes
Is it
forever
free?
to get somewhere. It was during the pandemic.
Yeah, it's not anymore. Yeah.
Not
How much
anymore.
is it for like a bus?
It's like $1.75.
Yeah, I think if you're a student, it's $1.
Oh, that's cheap.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's pretty
at all.
good.
Gotta get the
No, but
tap card.
I've always liked driving. I've always been like, I mean, you could tell these guys like
I don't like driving.
I drive, like I'm always a designated driver, like for everything, and I've had to drive us out of
Bro,
situations.
I prolonged getting my license for like the longest because I was like, fuck this, I don't want to drive. But my mom was always on me because she's like, I'm not gonna take you anywhere anymore. Like I'm not gonna drive for you anymore. And then eventually she's like, so you have to drive yourself.
Yeah.
And then she's like, so you have to get your license. And I was like,
Did
so
you
I didn't
get-
get it until like college.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I didn't get it until like I
Honestly,
think my
me
second
too.
year of
No,
college.
no, I got it when I turned 18, but I turned 18 in college. So yeah.
Yeah. I had my permit and like I would drive, but I was just like, I don't want to drive.
You know?
And it happens to me too, where I zone out. Like I tend to zone out a lot.
Yeah.
But I still know that I'm driving, but it's just like I just zone out. Like I'm like I don't. My mind sometimes is just like somewhere else.
Yeah.
But like how I said, like I've learned, I guess, to kind of like it because of music.
Yeah.
Like I just listen to my music and that's it. Like that's the only reason that I've been like, okay, like driving's okay.
Yeah. Did you guys pass your driving test the first time?
Yeah.
I did not.
I didn't.
I failed like 4 times.
No way.
Yeah.
You
4
love
times?
driving?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because he
Yeah.
really wanted his
I
license.
really wanted because I like driving so much.
No, but like, why'd you fail? How old were you when you?
17. I was 17 when I got
why'd
it.
you fail it?
I was just really nervous. I remember the first time I took it, I like by turning left, I went on the left side of the road, which obviously you're not supposed to do.
Oh shit.
Second time, I don't even know. I just know I failed 4 times in total, and then finally I passed on the 5th time. And I remember it was so shook. Like it was kind of. I think it's kind of funny. It almost makes me cringe because I remember when I passed, I hugged my mom as if like I just won like an NBA championship. Like it really meant a lot. Like it. I was like I really wanted like since day one I always wanted to drive since I was like 16.
Yeah. I also remember our parents would get us like a, what is it called? Like an instructor. A driving instructor.
Okay.
And I had one for a good like year and a half, and it was the same reason because like I just didn't want to like get my license because I was like I don't want to drive. And then I remember they got the same instructor for him, but my mom always says that he was very impatient about it because he just wanted to like take the test. Yeah. So that's why he took it multiple times because he was just like, I just want to get it. Like I can do it. Like I can do it.
I felt the first time because I didn't merge into the bicycle lane before making a right. And I was pissed because it was literally the right before, like I tried to make that right and then turned into like the parking for like the driving place. And because I didn't merge into the bicycle, I think I was like, you did amazing, you did perfect, the whole thing was wow, but you didn't merge, so I have to fail you. That's an automatic fail. And I was like, bitch, you should have just said I fucked up the whole thing. That hurts more than just one little mistake at the end. You know, I was like, damn, fuck you.
No, yeah.
Fuck you, Mr. Wilson. I still remember your name. I hope you're having a bad day. I'm playing. That's not even his name.
Karma, bro.
That's not even his name. I don't know him. I hope you're doing amazing. Thank you.
Their jobs are like stressful though. That's why they're all kind of like mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? He was actually really nice though. I think that's why you said fuck him more. I was like, dude, you're a super nice dude.
The karma's gonna
I
get
thought you would
you.
have given me a pass. You know, I just been like, you know what? I know you didn't mean to do that. It's okay. Because I've heard of that. Like people always like, I've had friends who like they fucked up at one little thing, but they're like, you know what? It's fine. Like I'll let it slide. Like you're good. You know? And it's like, why didn't you keep that energy with me? I was already telling my dad like, Dad, I passed. Like hell yeah. And then I told him I didn't, and he was just like, You know, like the dads. You know, it's just like you just kind of want like that, like you know, to make them proud of everyone. Then you just fuck up. It's like it's fine.
Yeah. And I remember when mine ended, and I was like, I feel like I didn't pass. And then she told me I think I only got like one thing wrong, which was like, I think at a light, I think it was at a red light to make a right or something like that. Cause you know how you're supposed to stop and then make it. I forgot what I did. I did something, and she's like, just that. And like other than that, you passed. And I was like, okay.
Dude, you want to know what pisses me off about mine is that he went on a whole speech. You did this great. I love when you did this. He literally
literally
the whole time I was like, yeah, I'm a pass. Like he's hyping me up. Like he's telling me like, you know, and just to the end be like, but you did this, so you're failed. I'm like, what? I was like, dude, fuck you.
Yeah, get out my car.
Man. I was like, you know what? Get out my vehicle. It's gonna be $10 gas money. You know, give me that ride. But yeah, but I kind of want to get into, you know, you guys mentioned that you guys smoke weed and you guys have done psychedelics. Is there any experience that just stands out to you, whether it was scary or funny or just something you're just like, damn, or maybe you learned something, had a realization, or just anything that you guys
who wants to go first? You want me to go first? I guess the most recent time would be like the biggest for me. I felt like it was just all around euphoric in ways that it hasn't been before. I felt like I understood who I am in a lot of more ways. And it's weird because it's been now a few weeks since I've had that experience, and I'm kind of like, is this really me, or is this like I'm just still on such a high? Like I try to be like humble, but like I have like this overwhelming sense to be confident. And it sounds good.
That sounds nice.
But I don't want to come off as arrogant either. You know,
Yeah.
I don't want to come off
Yeah.
as like because it's very easy to be narcissistic.
Okay.
And I don't ever want to be narcissistic.
Okay.
Since I was younger, I've always had a lot of love for people. Like,
Okay.
and maybe that's why I had such a good trip, because we did it at the beach full of people, and like I felt like I could look at everybody's energy, and I was like, everybody's here, everybody's living, and I hope everybody has a good life.
Yeah.
And that experience in and itself just made me, I don't know, it made me feel safe.
Yeah.
Like I feel like at the end of the day, like everything's gonna be okay no matter
Yeah.
what happens. Like you know what, life goes on, and you'll
Yeah.
always be good.
Yeah.
You know.
That's
Brenda?
such a beautiful feeling, by the way. Thank you for sharing that. I feel
Thank you.
like I said earlier, like just community and love, and just like everyone around you wanting everybody to like come up and just be good, and just like that love. And I definitely don't think it's I know I can see why you don't want it to be like narcissistic or to come across like arrogant or anything like that, but I feel like if you know who you are and you know you're true to that, and you know that your intention is always love, and you know that's not really who you are, then dude, just write it out. Like, dude, freaking be that person, own it. You know, I feel like a lot of times we want to dim our light because like society tells us if you're confident, you know, if you all these things, like you're arrogant or you're you know, all these things, but it's like, dude, hell no. Freaking let your light shine. Like, that's so beautiful.
you.
Like, spread that.
Thank
And I
you.
could tell, like, just meeting you, even like at the pod and just seeing the way you guys are, like all three of you guys, like I fuck with you guys' like vibe, like your energy. You guys are just so
Thank you.
funny. You guys are so cool, like to talk to.
She
like
heard we do drugs.
Nah, she was like, these are my people. Yeah, no, but literally, like, I love that so much. So thank you for sharing
Thank
that.
you.
Was it? I'm trying to remember. Was it the first time when we did it? When I was like, when I kept saying like, I love drugs, bro.
I love
Was it
drugs.
that time?
It was at Griffith. It was at Griffith, and he was like, he's like, yeah, out loud. He was like, I love, and he looks around. He's like, I love drugs.
No,
What
definitely.
you were gonna say, Brendan?
I mean, the first two times I did mushrooms, they were I didn't do that much.
Yeah.
I mean, the second time I did like 3 grams, right?
Oh, yeah. And that's considered already moving into like.
Yeah,
that's
but
like
it-
you're gonna start seeing shit.
but
Yeah.
it wasn't. It was just I felt good. It
Did
was,
you see anything?
No, I don't really trip visually.
Oh, that's good.
But the last time that we did, the one he's talking about, I took less than 3. But it was like a special strand, like one of the most potent strand.
Oh,
It's called
shit.
penis envy. So I was like, hey, I think I'm gonna take less. I think I took like what 2.5, 2 or something like that. The most terrifying like thing ever. Like, it was terrifying.
What'd you see or what'd you
Um,
experience?
So at first, I was like, oh, this is just the come up. Like, I can handle it. Like, it was weird because like
What does the come up feel like? I'm sorry, I hear you guys saying that a lot. Like the come up is like the
So-
worst. Like, what does that
So
feel like?
when you take shrooms, you obviously don't just immediately start like high. Like
Okay.
it takes about an hour to an hour and a half to slowly start easing into it.
Okay.
And that's what you call the come up. It's before you peak, before
Okay.
you like you're fully seeing, and like you're like,
usually
oh,
you're
shit,
very
I'm-
nauseous.
Yeah, so
I've heard that.
the
yeah.
symptoms of the come up are nausea, not anxiety, and kind of like, I'd say those are mainly the main two: nausea and anxiety.
Okay.
So, and it's I've taken them now a good amount of times to where I'm like, you can't really go
Avoid
around
that?
it. Yeah,
Okay.
it's always gonna feel that way, and it's the most intimidating part
Okay.
because you feel as though something bad is gonna happen. And the way I kind of equate it to is that shrooms really do change your perception of like how you perceived the reality you're kind of like always used to.
Okay.
So your body's, as an animal, right?
Okay.
Its DNA is being like, this
To
isn't adding up.
survive.
Yeah, it's like something's wrong.
The
Like
survival
our-
instinct is being
Yeah.
triggered.
yeah. So you feel very anxious, and you feel
Mhm.
like, to some people, I can see why they would freak out
Freak
because
out, mhm.
it probably feels like
They're
you.
fighting it instead of
Yeah.
accepting it.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the things of like, if you want to try shrooms, you have to like really accept that you're
Yeah.
gonna see something.
Yeah.
Stop saying no and start saying yes,
Just, yeah,
right?
going with the
Mhm.
flow type, just
Yeah.
allowing it to be.
But you were saying, Brandon?
Yeah, and for this trip, I mean, I went out of my way to like really like well, because I just was reading up on the strand. Mike Tyson does them, and Mike Tyson says
That's such
like,
a funny
right,
like.
yeah.
Dude, I don't know why every time I picture Mike Tyson in my head, like I just want to laugh. Like, dude, I don't
Right,
know,
yeah.
his smile, like I don't know. It's,
And he himself says that they're no joke. And if Mike Tyson says something that is no
yeah.
joke, I'm gonna listen to
Yeah,
Mike
of
Tyson,
course.
right? So I was like, I'll take less. And then I read a lot of people say that like they go like vegan for a little bit. So like I tried being vegan for like a couple months and it was okay for me. But a lot of people say, or I've seen a few people say that they do like a vegetarian vegan diet for like a day or two before. Okay. And I was like, I'll try that. I'll see what happens. Cause they were saying like plants and plants, you know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
So I was like, I'll try it. Let's see what's up with that. And then a lot of people say you should write your intentions of what you want from that.
I heard that
so I did that too. And so I went in that like
he did everything.
I did everything.
All right, you guys.
I did everything, and I still had a like scary trip. I mean, at first, like it was. I thought the come up for me was rough, but I thought I was like okay.
Why do you say it was rough? Like, what were you feeling?
I was nausea and anxiety, but I was like I can handle this.
Fine. It's not that bad. Okay.
And then I walked down to the shore because we were at the beach. And these birds were like flying over, and like my vision, like, and the birds would look like super HD. And he came to like, I guess like check up on me, and like I could just not for the life of me keep up with what he was saying. Like I couldn't really like.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, like I couldn't, you know what I mean? Like I couldn't hear him, and then I would hyper focus on everything. And it was weird because it started to feel like I didn't have control over my body. Like my body was making decisions for me. Okay. Like they were laughing because they were like, we'd come up to you and you just walk away. And I was like, I remember that. And I was like, and I remember saying like, why am I doing that? Like I remember looking down at my feet and then my legs would just start moving for me. And I was like, this is kind of starting to like scare me a little bit. Yeah. Cause I was like, at one point I started walking far. And I was like, I don't want to get lost like on the beach, like turn around and I don't know where anybody is. So I went back because she was sitting on the towels. And like when I looked up, it looked like she went like she was far away. And I was walking and it felt like I wasn't getting closer. Like I was just like I was like, oh man, like this is a little intense, but I was like, I can handle it. And then we all sat down and like, it was cool. It was cool. Like it evened out. I was like, maybe it was just a little much being on the shore, all the people, all the waves, all the birds. Yeah, just thought maybe it was just a little much.
But that was just phase one.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my God.
And then I had brought also cuties, like oranges.
I thought you were some girls. I'm like,
but yeah, and I was like, I'm just gonna have some like, you know, maybe it'll help me out, have some other stuff in the system. Like I started peeling it and it started looking like really funny. I was like, this does not look like an orange. Like this looks so weird. And I was eating it, but I didn't remember like eating it. Like I was like, I don't remember putting that orange in my mouth, but I'm chewing it. And then I started looking around and there's like oranges everywhere, but like not like there's actual oranges, but like orange peels and like squished oranges everywhere. Yeah. And I was like, am I making a mess? Like, I feel like these are everywhere.
Shit.
And they're like, no, there's nothing. Like, there's nothing. And I was like, no, I swear, like, there's stuff here. Yeah. Like, I squished some oranges and I started getting like annoyed because I was like, oh, I'm making a mess. And they're like, no. I kept telling you
too. I was like, I was doing my best because I could tell he was starting to go off the rails. And I was like, dude, I'm telling you, like, it's okay. Even if it is a mess, like, it's fine, bro. We'll clean it up.
Do you ever say like, hey, remember you're on shrooms? It's like, do you ever say anything like, hey, remember you're on shrooms? Like, I know you're believing that, but just remember you're having like an experience right now. Do you guys ever say anything along those
later
lines?
on? That is what I say, but I think
so I started looking around and I was like, there's oranges everywhere. Like I'm like, there's a mess, and I was like, and I started doing what they call looping, right? Where I would just like do something and I go, did I just do that? And he'd be like, no, or yeah. And I'd do it again and I go, did I just do that?
Oh, shit.
And I did that.
And he was getting me into it because he kept asking me the same thing. I kept being like, no, it's okay. You're fine. And I could tell we're starting to talk about the same thing over and over.
Oh, yeah. Shit.
And I remember like at one point I got up and then I sat back down and I was like, did I just get up and sit back down? What? Like, I don't remember if I did or not. And then like, I was like, okay, like I know for right now that I'm freaking out. And I was like, the instinct in me was to like, nah, like freak out, but like not make it known. Okay. But they say you're not supposed to do that on mushrooms. Yeah. Like it makes it infinitely worse if you do that.
To do what? I'm sorry, to not.
To like to just act like you're good. To act like you're good, or to act like, or to fight it. You know, they say that's infinitely worse. So I was like, I'll just cut that head off and be like, so I told him, I was like, he was like, are you good? And I was like, no, I'm not.
He's like, I'm gonna be honest, bro. Like I'm kind of freaking out.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And I was like, I wasn't like scared more than it was just like overwhelming. Cause like, it was weird because I started looking around, right? and there was like police like on ATVs. You know how they ride on the on the beach. And I was like, why are there police here, Steve? Like, why are there police?
Like, why are they shirtless?
And he was, and he was like, oh, I don't know, Joe Biden's in town, like security, right?
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people here.
Mm-hmm.
And I started thinking like, oh shit, did I do something?
Oh.
Because I remember he said, Brandon, talk to me. And for my brain registered it as, oh, I'm doing something. Like I'm like yelling or doing something. Because then I started looking around. Everybody was looking at me.
Oh shit.
And I was like, like this is not like, every time I think that I have it, it sweeps the rug out from under me. So I just laid down and I was like, it'll pass, right? And it didn't. It still kept getting higher and higher. And I remember
when you laid down, I looked at you because do you remember I was leaning over on the sand? Because I was tripping pretty hard too, but I wanted to be there for you. And I'm like Brandon, how are you doing? And he's like, I just don't know, man. And he looked me like straight into my eyes, and I swear, especially because I was tripping, I saw everything you were seeing. And I was like, and I had to look away from your eyes because I was like, holy shit, dude.
Oh shit.
You're like tripping like crazy right now.
And I remember what really like what the hammer on the nail for, I mean, the whatever the expression is. What
You're
it
like
was,
traumatized. You're like,
what it was
Let's
for
make
me
our own
was,
sayings right now.
was like,
the hammer on the
was I started talking to him and them, I mean, him and Julie, and I was trying to like, you know, ground myself and it wasn't working because I started looking at them and they didn't look like people. Like they weren't, like, I know I said I don't trip visually and I still stand by that, but it was just weird because I was like, you guys don't, like, I don't understand what you are.
Yeah.
And it started like that, like the rest of everything we were talking about, nothing made sense, like at all. And that's hard to like describe because like, you know, things make sense. I'm talking, things make sense, right? But I was talking to him and he was talking about Spider-Man, like the Lakers and all that.
I was trying to get his mind off.
Yeah.
Like,
and I remember thinking, what's basket? Like, I don't know what that is. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he was saying like Steph Curry and like LeBron James. And I remember it was tripping me out even more because I was like, I don't know what that is. Like, I don't know what that is. I actually don't know what that is.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about my phone and I was like, what is that?
What
like,
is
I
a
don't.
phone?
That was the worst part of it. Was not. I felt like I was lost. Like I just didn't know anything at all. And that, I don't know, that's hard to describe, right? Because like even to imagine, I mean, even me, I'm having a hard time like remembering it because it's like, how do you just not know what things are?
Yeah.
From my perspective, it was like especially trippy because he said he wasn't being shy about it. Like I felt like if you looked at him, you could tell he was like freaking out because he kept looking around, like he kept looking at his surroundings, and you kept clutching your stuff.
Yeah,
you kept clutching.
I kept grabbing things. Yeah,
and he was like shoved off because some girl was like walking by. And he grabbed all his stuff and he was just like this.
And I remember doing.
It's a white girl. Like, I messed up.
And like I was like, fuck, like what do I do? And when you kept doing that, like would very like it wouldn't trip me out, but it would make me almost sad. Is you kept looking at your intention note because he wrote his intentions down.
Oh yeah.
He kept opening it up and reading it, and then he would like clutch it like to his chest. And I was like, what do I do?
Oh yeah. Well, okay. So I remember the reason I kept grabbing stuff is because you know how I said I didn't know what anything was. I was like, I feel like I need like stability.
Okay.
Like I was like, I need to know that
Something
things
to
are
ground
here.
you.
Yeah, something to like I need to know that I'm still on this planet.
Yeah.
Like that like I'm still here. So when I was grabbing stuff, I was like, none of this feels like it's real or like I'm here. And
maybe that was like the whole gist. Like nothing's fucking real, nothing matters. Like this is just a human experience. Detach, let go. Like maybe that was kind of like the
ego death.
No,
like,
yeah,
like
no,
he's trying to-
yeah. That's why I kept reading the intentions.
Do you remember
because
what it said?
I do, and I won't share it only not because like anything personal,
okay,
but just because I'm still like
trying to decipher.
I'm still like deciphering because I like to journal, so I'm still journaling
love
about
that.
it.
Okay.
Because like he said, they last a long time. Like the effect afterwards lasts a long time. And I was reading it because I was like, I've always felt that I don't trip very visually.
Okay.
But shrooms, like they talk. Like they don't. I know people when you hear that, if you haven't done them, you think like, oh, what they show up like little.
They show up like mascots.
No, it's more like very like clear ideas.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And that's what was my past two experiences were, where they were just extremely clear ideas, and I go, oh, I never saw it that way.
Okay.
And this time they were, but it was like, I was like, what are you trying to tell me? That was what it was basically for me. But then when it calmed down, I was like, that wasn't so
Bro,
bad.
you know what's so funny is that it just like he just like snapped out of it. Like I don't even remember like how. I just remember you just went, okay, I think I'm okay now.
yeah.
Do you remember how that you came about that? Or
I think I slowly was like,
were you coming down, or that had nothing to do with your coming down?
I don't think I was necessarily coming down so much as I think I was like, because whenever I know, at least me, whenever you're like really high and you're starting to get scared, you're like, did I mess myself up? Is this permanent? Like, you know? And I was like, I just remember saying like, this is all bullshit. Like, this is all in my head.
Okay.
And how it was saying like, it kept showing me like I remember when he mentioned Joe Biden, I was thinking about the president.
Joe Biden grounded me.
And I was thinking about,
president.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, 2024.
Another term.
No, but I was thinking about how like the people he was talking about, like Spider-Man or LeBron James, Steph Curry, Joe Biden, I was like, I don't know any difference. These are nothing to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess maybe the gist of what it's saying is that, you know, it's all in your head. You know what I mean?
Anything only has meaning like
if you give it, right?
Meaning, yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I guess I can see what you're saying. Okay. And then like pretty quickly I started like coming back. And yeah, I mean,
and after you enjoyed the rest of your trip?
Yeah. I mean,
I remember just he needed to use the restroom and I didn't need to. I just went with him because I was just having such a good time.
Yeah.
I was just for a while.
Yeah, and
love that.
Yeah, I mean, after that, but like I still feel like objectively that was the scariest like high I've ever had, but it wasn't scarring at all. Like it wasn't like I've had bad trips on weed and those were more scarring.
I was gonna say that like what stood out to me is that you said like you start wondering, damn, did this fuck me up forever?
Yeah,
that's what happens to me when I start tripping out like on weed. That's I feel like that thought in of itself is what kind of keeps me from trying other things more, because I feel like I have like this huge fear. I don't know if it's like fear of death, like at the root of it, or it's just fear of like just fucking myself up mentally. Because I know you hear a lot of people going to psychosis and like they never come back from that, like they act different, and that honestly is my fear. Where it's like, but I think it just kind of goes back to like what you were saying, like just having to like let go, you know, and just kind of like accept things. And I feel like if you don't fight it, you don't create that much resistance. Where you kind of like scramble your mind, just kind of go with the flow. It just kind of works.
No,
better.
definitely though. I feel like I've always felt that there's like this weird like thing about weed of how like it's completely harmless, everybody should do it, it's nothing but benefits. And you know, I mean, I'm sure it has a lot of benefits, but for a lot of people, some people have mental problems and it's really bad for you if you have mental problems. So I feel like, you know, if you don't feel ready, I don't think you should do it. Like you should be responsible with like your mental health, because that's I think that's really serious. You know,
for sure,
because some people don't come back, you know.
Yeah, that's the scary part. But then it also makes me wonder, I don't know how you guys feel about I don't know if you guys are religious or not. I'm getting the vibe that you're not, but you know, you hear a lot of people say that, you know, we're souls having a human experience, and that we, you know, we have a contract before we come to earth. You know, we decide what our life is going to look like, what relationships we're going to have, what our problems are going to be, like what lessons we're going to learn. Have you guys heard of anything like that? Yeah. Okay, so you know, it kind of makes me wonder, like those people that get stuck in those states of psychosis, or like they don't come back from those trips, I wonder if like they chose to come and have like that experience. Does that make sense? As like brutal as it sounds, you know what I mean? Like, you know, because I mean, there's a lot of fucked up shit that happens in the world all the time. But sometimes it makes me wonder, because honestly, I do feel like I'm leaning to like words like where I believe that, you know, where it's like we forget obviously when we come here what our life is gonna look like, but we do decide before we come down here like
what your life is gonna look like.
So it's like there's kind of some comfort in that, and like knowing that we chose to have this experience, whether it's good or bad, and the duality of just life. You know, there's gonna be good, but there's also going to be bad. And I don't know, it's just like, I feel like those are comforting thoughts to me when I think about taking shrooms or even smoking weed sometimes. It's like, okay, like, even if I do have a fear of shit just hitting the fan, I also kind of find comfort in knowing that if it does hit the fan, well, it's like I chose for it to be that way. So there's something to learn there. You know what I mean?
What you said kind of reminds me of like a really good segment that we had like on our podcast where we talked about like, do we believe that hell exists, and if it does, like, is it right for bad people in this life to be punished for bad things they did in this life?
That's so true.
And we concluded that, well, at least what I said was that, like, to me, if God existed, I think it would be messed up to even bad people to send them to hell, because like I think souls who live here on earth are almost like kids. Like, we don't know any better.
Yeah.
Like, the universe is so big, and like this is kind of us just learning experience, and to then like forever, for eternity, to be punished in hell.
Yeah.
For like what the universe is billions of years old, and in your 30 like to like 80-year lifespan, you did something bad,
and you're
just
gonna
like forever.
Yeah. That's so
Yeah.
true. Yeah, and I definitely agree with that. And I feel like it ties into kind of like, the whole like religious aspect, how religion is truly made to control people, I don't know if you guys believe that. I mean, I do think there's a lot of truth to like the Bible, and a lot of things that we taught were great, like, don't kill humans. That's a great one. That's something that we learned, we don't kill, and that's great. There's a lot of good stuff in there that we learned, but for the most part, I feel like a lot of stuff was tweaked for the control of the population. Like you said, like putting that fear in you that if you like fuck up or if you sin, it's like you're damned to go to hell forever. And that for the most part keeps people in line, they don't want to act out, or they don't want to go against the norm.
It's like a nanny cam, right?
Exactly. So I definitely I agree with that. It's like it shouldn't. Do you guys believe that? I don't know if you guys ever heard the term like hell is here, like earth is hell, and like we could have heaven here on earth. Like there's no such thing as heaven or hell. Like we could have heaven here on earth if everyone just kind of like. That's
what people say about like Jesus, right? Where they have like more spirit, less like fitting the Catholic Christian like narrative. Where they'll say like what Jesus was teaching was like how to live heaven on earth. So like forgive others. That's like what you're supposed to do. That's what I don't know that I
like the goal of life isn't to live a good life and then be rewarded with heaven. It's to make earth heaven.
Exactly. No, I definitely I've heard that as well, and that to me resonates more than the way that we were traditionally thought to think about Jesus.
Some context. I don't know if you know, but the three of us, we all went to private school.
Yeah, we all went to Catholic school. Yeah.
Private school.
Yeah.
How was that? How was that?
I had a good experience. My sister, she was older, so she had like a complete.
Okay, and you're a girl, and I feel like that's different.
Yeah. Okay, but like, make no mistake, like I don't think any of us are really religious, are we?
Yeah, not really. No.
I feel like for me, I think we were all in it for what, like 9 years.
Yeah.
From
like
kinder
kinder
to
eighth.
Damn, from the get.
And then I did half a year of ninth grade.
And then like second disclaimer, also like private school sounds like all fancy. It was pretty good.
It was pretty I've
heard that. I've actually heard that before.
It was.
Wait, we're recording, right? Yeah. Okay.
Maybe how many? Like maybe like 100 kids in the school tops.
Like, only 100.
That's
like,
saying a lot too.
Every class had like 10 kids.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I feel like the biggest was always like 20. Like,
there really was not that many kids in that school. 100's very generous.
Were you guys were a lot of kids bad in school or no? For the most part, everybody was like.
My class, like, I had, for some reason, like, the teachers really liked my specific class.
They didn't like my class.
Luckily, I would always get, like, free passes. Like, they would, like, love us for some reason. And they hated his class. He's obviously younger than me. He was one grade below me. And, like, sometimes we'd be making noise, and then they'd get mad at his class.
Yeah.
It was basically free reign. We could do no wrong.
Like, not my fault.
Yeah. I hated that. I was like, I literally don't even do anything.
I'm literally quiet.
For real. I hung out with their class, and I was like, why did I get punished? But eventually, sometimes they'd be like, you weren't even here, and I was like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I mean, in hindsight, it wasn't too weird. They weren't too crazy with the religious stuff.
Because I'm assuming 9 years you guys went to public school afterwards. What do you think were like the main differences between private and like public?
Well, we went to a charter school. And then we also, all three of us went to the same charter school.
And then we went to the same college. Yeah.
Oh, wait, so you guys never went to public school?
No.
What's a charter school? Like you have to pay?
It's like,
It's privately funded.
Yeah. But it's funded by like basically like a foundation. Like a family basically owns the school.
Yeah, it's like a public school.
It's like almost like a hybrid. Like it's between private and public. So it's like right in the middle.
Did your parents ever tell you why they chose that route?
My mom said because she wanted us to stick to smaller schools, that's the reason she told me, because I didn't want to go to that charter school. The reason I didn't want to go is because I didn't want to wear a uniform. Because if you go to a charter school, you're still wearing a uniform in high school. And I was like, bro, I've been wearing a uniform all through Catholic school, and I want to get out of it.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, you're going here. Because then there was the other one, another school, another campus, and it had like 4 different colleges. And she's like, I'm not letting you in there. Like that's too much for you. She would say like, no, like you have to go to a smaller school. So which is why she put us in the charter school. That's the reason she told me. I don't know if there was like a whole other different reason.
Me, it's because she went there. So, like,
Oh, you're younger than her.
Yeah,
I'm the
okay.
oldest.
Oh, I thought you were older.
No, yeah, I'm not.
Now we say that.
Yeah, everybody always says I'm older than my
Yeah.
sister.
Wait,
Yeah.
how old are you guys?
I'm 23.
I'm 25.
Oh, okay, dope. dope.
He's a little baby.
I'm 21. Yeah.
Nice.
He's a baby.
Yeah, and that was the reason she told me. And then eventually she's like, for college, you can choose wherever you want to go. But she's like, for now, I want you to go to a small school, so you're going there. And it was pretty much a small school. In total, it's probably like, what, like 400 probably?
500.
500?
Yeah, it was pretty small.
Yeah.
It wasn't too
400 to
bad.
The
500
charter
people.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in Catholic school, did you guys have like a lesson in like the Bible every day?
We had like, so it was like every other school, right? Where you have your subjects,
Yeah.
but it was like one teacher. Like one teacher taught everything.
Yeah.
And then like, you know how you'd have science or like math, they'd be like, all right, get out your religion books. It wasn't the Bible, which is weird. It was like a religion.
It was an
like,
actual
It was a
book,
book.
like,
It was like
yeah.
a school religion book where they would be like, this is what happened here. And like, this is what Jesus says.
And then we
or-
would go to church on
yeah,
every
church on
Friday.
Fridays.
Sometimes we talk about, like, especially during the pandemic, we would reminisce about it, and we were like, I feel like some there was a lot of questionable stuff that they like exposed us to. Like we
Yeah.
were, because the Bible's sometimes kind of graphic, like it talks about
Okay.
beheadings and like
Yeah.
killings. You'd get like kid versions of like people being beheaded, like from like already like
What the
first
hell
grade.
is the kid version of being beheaded? How,
It's just
how
like
do you make
cartoons,
that?
like the cartoons.
Yeah, it's like the
Yeah.
X's
Nothing
over
too
the eye.
graphic. Yeah, they
Yeah.
had like X's on their eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I always tell my sister, the reason I feel like have always been into like conversating and like deep thinking is because the Bible is kind of like a philosophy book.
Oh, for sure.
So like
Yeah.
we were basically forced to like read philosophy.
Did we ever get sex ed in? No, we didn't, right? In
I
And
did.
DSS?
I did.
You
I
got-
think I think the 8th graders, like
I
the
don't.
last
got it.
people
It's
get
because
it.
I don't really remember it. But I remember good touch, bad touch. I
Yeah,
remember
but that's
that.
different.
That was different, but I remember
Yeah.
that. I don't really remember anything like alarming. Like for a long time, I thought it was pretty like.
Normal.
It wasn't like they weren't. I always felt they weren't too overbearing with the religion until like my last year, because usually they'd say stuff like, "Oh, they wouldn't really talk about like sex or anything. Like they just be like, oh, it's a sin," or they wouldn't really talk about drugs. Because I mean, everybody in school tells you not to do drugs anyways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it wasn't really that big a deal.
Yeah.
But then in 8th grade, we had like this teacher, right? And somebody brought up like gay marriage, and the kids were kind of arguing over like, no, it's a choice, or like you're born like that. And then somebody said like, why is that wrong? Like why if you don't have a choice? And the teacher said, well, put it this way: if I was born like loving to rob banks, would that be okay?
What?
And I remember when he said that left such a bad taste in my mouth, because I remember being like, that sounds so like wrong. You know what I mean?
That's not even like the same.
That's not even
context.
close, right?
Not even the same like.
Yeah.
Well, because also that's like it's implying that being gay is like a bad thing.
Yeah,
initially.
like it's initially
exactly.
a bad thing. And
Yeah.
I was like, and I remember, I won't say who, but I remember someone.
I will say
somebody there, because I remember I was saying like, no, like I'm pretty sure like people are born that way, like it's not a choice. And somebody else was on my side saying, yeah, and it's because this person had like a relative who was like that. And it also left a bad taste in my mouth, because I was like, you're kind of telling like this kid, like
Yeah.
it was like 13, that hey, like your relative's like a bad person.
And
Like,
it's hurtful
yeah.
because those examples to a 13-year-old brain seem logical. You know what I mean? It's like, imagine being like young and naive and someone giving you the example and you're like, well, you're right. Like,
yeah.
if I do love robbing banks, that's not right. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
exactly.
so it's really
Yeah.
a form of brainwashing, and it's
Yeah.
sad because
Yeah.
then that's how they grow up being like homophobic,
Mhm.
and then themselves and I feel like that's the case for a lot of people that are homophobic nowadays, where it's like it's not even themselves that really think that way. It's just their programming, and
Yeah.
they just can't see beyond that.
No, yeah. I mean, I remember when I first went to the high school, I remember meeting gay people, and it was just like, I don't know, it was just weird because like I was like I had no problem at all with them, but like I was just like
The school had done such a way
not
of like
it was just
sheltering
it was
you know?
it was just like to go from hearing that like that's so bad, like
Yeah.
like that, comparing that to somebody like a bank robber,
Yeah.
and then like I'm like, this is just like another person, like there's nothing
Yeah,
like wrong at all with
exactly.
this. It is just weird.
And the wild thing
Yeah.
about that is like, let's hypothetically speaking, let's say that it is wrong in
Yeah.
quotes, you know, that it's being homophobic is wrong.
Yeah.
They're not even hurting anyone though.
Yeah.
Like it's not even something where it's like,
It's
you
their
know,
own
they're
decision,
causing
right?
pain. It's like their own personal decision that they're doing. And if you see it as like you're gonna go to hell if you do that, well at the end of the day that's between them and God. You know, so like
Yeah.
why is it something that we're already being conditioned to like demonize them and like bring them down, you know,
Yeah.
just because of something that is their own personal preference. You
Yeah,
know?
and I
That's a
remember
sad part.
there was this biology teacher who was like mini famous in our school because he was so cool.
Okay.
And he was like a flaming atheist, hated everything
Oh, you're talking
religion.
in high school, right?
Yeah, yeah. He hated religion. Was like would challenge anybody who like was
In
like
your
let's
charter school?
Yeah,
Okay.
he would like be like, all right, let's have an argument. Why do you believe God? And he would. And that was the first time I ever heard anybody talk like that
Yeah.
about like the proverbial God or whatever.
Yeah.
And like to go from like all these people who like
Yeah.
that's the most revered thing ever. Like
Yeah.
don't you dare say the Lord's name in vain.
Yeah.
And this other guy is like that's all bullshit. You know.
Yeah.
It's like it's such a jarring like, but I
Yeah.
think necessary. You know.
Do you
Like,
feel
yeah.
like you got curious, or do you feel like your ego was like trying? Like, did you get
No,
defensive?
I don't think I really cared. It was just more like the initial like,
The shock?
how can you say that?
Yeah.
Like, you know, kind of like hearing cussing for the first
Yeah.
time. Like, wow, this adult is saying that.
Yeah.
You know, so that was more for me at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember in the private school, I had this friend, and she had a boyfriend like in the private school, and they were holding hands. And the substitute teacher, who was like always substitute, she saw them and she went up to them and she told her that she can get pregnant by holding
Shut
hands.
the fuck
Yeah,
up.
No,
you
yeah, I
know
remember
what I'm
that.
talking about,
I
right?
was,
Remember?
yeah, I was there.
And
I
what she
remember-
say, you know?
She
There-
obviously didn't believe it.
Yeah.
Oh,
She was
okay.
like, I
Yeah.
don't think this is true. Because we
Yeah.
were already like seventh graders.
Oh,
like,
you know, yeah, you have an idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like who's she trying to fool? you know?
Yeah.
But it's still the fact that she said that, right?
That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty weird
That's
in
what I'm
hindsight.
saying. Like,
yeah.
like the more whenever we like reminisce about it, like it was cool because obviously I had you and like we would
Yeah.
joke around and be like little
Yeah.
dumb kids.
Yeah.
But like we think about some of the stuff and like there was a lot of teachers who were like they didn't really believe in mental illness to the point where some kids who were slower than the other kids, it was more of like they'd get mad at them because they think they're just dumb.
Oh, that
Am I
pisses
wrong?
me off.
Yeah, no, yeah,
That makes
I
me
can
so
see that, yeah.
mad. I hate
Um,
that so. Oh, I want to stop
But yeah, it's just like it's weird because like in the moment you're like a kid, right? You don't know that.
Like you're
like-
relying on these adults to
Yeah.
guide you.
Yeah, you're telling them. I mean, yeah, they're telling you like this is right and wrong. But then like you leave, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, I don't know that was
Yeah.
cool, man. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's fucked
like, yeah, it was. I mean,
I remember I think she was my 7th and 8th grade teacher. She would always yell at us. Like she would always yell at us.
Oh, I know. who you're talking
And I remember after I left and a couple years, like I had already like graduated high school, I could still hear her yelling because like we lived close by to the school. And so when they would be at recess, she would be yelling at the kids and like line up and blah blah. I'd be like, oh my god, I'm so triggered, and,
Oh
and
my
like I already graduated high school and
God.
everything, and like my ass would like be like triggered by like her voice.
Bro,
like,
to yell
she was
back,
always-
shut the fuck up.
No, but a lot of teachers were really mean.
Yeah,
there.
I don't know why.
I don't know why. It was just
was
like
that you? Did you experience that like too? Like,
Not gonna lie, no.
No?
I don't have any memory of teachers being assholes. I have memory of them being strict, but like in a respectful way. Like, you know, they would speak sternly or, you know, but they would never like yell at us or like degrade us.
That's
or, like,
funny because I
make
thought
us
that was
believe,
normal.
like-
I thought that was normal, low key.
I
That teachers
swear,
would yell at
yeah,
you.
I thought that was normal. I thought everybody just like middle school
yell,
teachers just
yell at
being-
kids.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
my principal was like the main, like she
Yeah.
was the main, like evil, like
Yeah.
she like basically hated kids. I remember one time I wanted to ask her something, and I was so scared because I knew her reputation. I'd seen it, and I was like, oh, maybe it's like okay, I'll just
Maybe
wait.
she'll be nice.
Yeah, and so I'm like, excuse me, miss. I'm not gonna say her name, and then she's like, can't you see I'm talking to somebody right now?
Oh my
and
god.
I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, like, and then I just went away, and I don't even remember what I was gonna ask.
The
Yeah.
most like I've seen like a teacher like yell or be rude, but it was only directed like at one person. Like if one student was acting out, then she would like yell like at that student or like but it was like very rare to see like a teacher like get out of character like that where it would like make them react in such like a extreme way. But I not personally in me in my classes, but I have heard of like other teachers where like they're all the kids are being wild. I don't know if you guys for the most part, like you said, you have little classes like 10 max 20 students, but with us it was like 32 35 students per class, and there was like periods were rotating to like different like groups of students like every period. So I do feel like that probably was more overwhelming. So I would hear about sometimes where literally you can be like in a classroom next to a classroom, you could hear them yelling like they're just like monkeys. It felt like there's just monkeys like roaming like all over the class and yelling and being loud. And those cases you would hear like maybe like a yell where it's like like I don't know, like stop or like like something, but it was never anything like directed at someone, it was like more like as a whole, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was, for me personally, it was rare. I don't know, Saul, was your experience different? Because I don't know if you were bad.
Because I did private school.
Oh, you did, huh?
I did a Christian school. I wasn't even Christian. But my public school experience in middle school, because when I first went to middle school, it was a whole switch. I was like, what the fuck? Because for me in Christian school, if you weren't Christian, you're going to hell.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
So, and then going into a middle school in Fontana, where everything's like drugs, sex, and I was like, well, what the fuck?
Everybody's going to hell.
Namitos.
Namitos, stay safe.
I just broke in and just started cussing, and that's where I let loose. I was like, I felt caged in this whole time when I went to 7th grade. And it was like, I was saying fuck for everything. Fuck this pencil, fuck that. I was just like, I felt free.
No, yeah. I mean, I remember kids were mean. I remember they would always talk. I remember there's a school right next to our Catholic school, and it had a bad reputation. That other school, it was a bad like public school.
Yeah.
Like kids would come from that school and they tell like some scary stories.
Be like what's it called when people are saved, when people leave a country?
Like refugees. Or
They'd be like refugees.
Yeah.
They literally
I got out.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
Oh my
Like
God, like you guys don't know how good you guys have it. Like over there in that school, like people get into fights. Like I remember they told me a story about they threw a chair from the 2nd story and landed on a girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard about that one.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
yeah. And they were like, we never got any homework. Like, we just didn't do anything. And like they would talk bad about that school and like, see how like that doesn't exist, bullying doesn't exist here. And I was like, a lot of kids were really mean.
Yeah.
See what I mean about like the whole like school system in general, even private, public, charter. Like you're literally giving your child up for 8 hours of a day. Since kindergarten, like I told you guys earlier, from 1 to 7, children are being programmed. Literally, like they're in a hypnosis state where everything they're observing and learning, they're taking it and internalizing it, and that's what creates their subconscious mind. I don't know if you guys have heard of the subconscious and conscious.
Yeah.
Well, everything practically from 1 to 7 is stored in your subconscious mind, and like that's where everything is at. And that's the crazy thing to me. It's like we are still sending our kids to school. And, that's, I feel like where a lot of like the brainwashing is happening and like the insecurity and like that's where kind of you're bullied, your people are being mean to you, the beliefs are being instilled in you are probably not the best, the way you are able to, you learn to suppress your emotions because you don't want to speak out because you're scared of someone being mean, or it's like there's just it's not a safe space for the most part, and not only from the teachers but also from like you have a bunch of kids projecting onto each other all day for 8 hours a day, whether it's something nice or mean, and it's just like it's just fucked up. Like these systems are so fucking rigged, but they're not, like you were saying, like everyone's just going with it. You were saying in the podcast, like everyone's just like, oh, like it's the way it is, and politics as well. It's the way it is, and that shit's so aggravating to me. It's like, no, like I don't want to send my son to school, dude.
Yeah. It's funny because we recently were talking about it because we were like, we were talking about mostly about like history and like the things that we learned through history of like the US was like the good guy, and like we went to war and then this happened, and then we learned about slavery, but we never were like, this was wrong, like why did we do this, like, and like they haven't gotten reparations for it, like where's all that. And then we kind of just learned that like the US is like good, and like we did all these laws, all these politics for like good reasons, and like but we don't learn like the other parts of it, of like how this land was like stolen and like all of like the natives who were here and what happened with them. Like we don't learn those things. We tend to learn them in college.
We sugarcoat them. Like we do learn about them, but like in a super sugar.
And we eventually learn about them, but in college.
Yeah.
And like through professors who like are like, I want to talk about this. Like there's a lot of like Chicano studies. There's like what's the other one, like sex studies and like gender studies.
I love my Chicano
like
studies
those are all like they happen, but they all happen in college. Like they don't happen early on. Early on, you just learn about the U.S.
There are some good history teachers in high school that really do dismantle. I feel like they're super rare, but I had one, and I've heard of also the other ones that really did say things for what they were, and I feel like those teachers are so important. I really hope that in the future, since I know schools are still going to be around, I really hope more teachers that are going into like that profession really like choose to teach like what really.
And I feel like it's slowly happening, because I feel like especially our generation and maybe some of those like older than us have already seen that. But I feel like the other part of the downside of that is that the way that they don't get paid well. And a lot of them, like especially now with like COVID that happened, and then like now with like people saying like you're not even safe out of school anymore, like all those things jeopardize like us trying to come up kind of, which is like we come up, but then like all these other things happen. So I know it's like really frustrating. But I know like earlier you mentioned like it sometimes gets tiring, but I think that's like the important part is to like not give up on it, like to just keep going. Like I know it's hard. And it's also like the thing of like we're not the only ones kind of like having that same mentality of like we want to help, but it's hard. Because I know we talked about it and we were like, bro, even talking about it sometimes is scary, because like just the government in general like is scary to us, like especially like they've done a lot to oppress like brown and black people, that it's just like they can, and like with things happening now it's like that. But yeah, like for us, I don't know, growing up I was like I just learned about history, like how it went, and I didn't know anything else other than that until I went to college, and I learned a lot more about our stuff. And then I was like, okay, like but that's like what later on in adulthood when you're like 20 that you learn about that. But yet like all these years you've been learning about something else. So
I think what you said is something that I've talked to my sister about that gives me like anxiety when I think about having kids, right? I think about myself and how I grew up. I feel like I got just lucky. Like I ended up being like I made good friends. I could have easily have met bad people, bad friends.
It could have gone worse.
Yeah, it could have gone really bad. And like you said, the school system, right? Like it's so inconsistent that like if I were to have a kid, like I'd want them to obviously grow up like me, grow up educated, grow up like giving a shit.
Yeah.
But like I'd be scared that like I don't know, maybe the teachers will like instill in them like bad habits and like bad ideas.
One of the things that I learned recently was that one of the important things that once our children start getting older, like my son right now he's gonna turn 3, but he already speaks really well, and we communicate in the best way that we can, but obviously it's very limited, his capacity of understanding and learning and communicating. But I'm imagining when they hit 5, that's when they start going to school, and they start. I saw a video was talking about how it's important to speak. It's important to really instill values and morals and good beliefs in our children. And I feel like because we're the frontliners, we're the parents, we're the ones that they're going to look to for what they're going to believe in, what they're going to think, things like that. But not just that, but also instill in them, let them know at a very young age in a safe way that people lie. That not people even like, like I forgot the example. She said like, oh, like, she was saying that she told her daughter, like, honey, like, mommy always is trying to, like, I forgot how she worded it, but the point of the video was that she's trying to explain to her children that, adults are, who you can go to, to learn from and things, but that not everything everyone says is always true. And when it comes to history, when it comes to beliefs, when it comes to, like, all these things, and she's trying to teach her daughter, if she's ever confused or if she's also trying to tell her daughter, like, to kind of show her how to kind of, like, go inward in her body and what feels right and what doesn't, kind of, like, be connected with herself. And she's trying to instill in her daughter, like, okay, like, you're going to go out into the world and, not everyone's always going to think like you. Not everyone's always going to believe what you do. And, people sometimes lie. And also when it comes, I think she said when she was at people lie she was talking about the example, like, when it comes to people being hurtful with you, like, oh, like, you're dumb or you're ugly or like you're things like that, that's another form of conditioning us to like be like, insecure and things like that. She was like it's important to have that kind of connection and communication with our children, that they feel comfortable to come to you at the end of the day and be like, hey, I heard this today, or I learned this today, but it didn't feel right because of what our values and our beliefs that I already have at home. So kind of build that communication with them so that when they do go out into the world, they're able to come home at the end of the day and share with you what they learned, but also any confusion that they have. And you as a parent, since you've already instilled your values, your beliefs, and, all these things, they're able to kind of use their discernment. And one of the things she was saying is like, we think that children are dumb, they don't know. And we like to say, oh, they don't know, they don't know better, things like that, but they do. And they're very smart. And I can attest to that being a mom. And I know that they have, like, even though they might not register at like a big capacity, if you even are able to like narrow it down in small words, they'll understand and they'll build on that, So I definitely do think there's a way around that, like if, like, let's say worst comes to worst, you grow up and you have children and, growing up, you kind of like worried in a sense that they'll have the same experience that you did. I think there's kind of ways around that, you know what I mean? And honestly, like if it ever comes down to it, just read books. Like, I know it sounds like dumb, but like I read a lot of like child development books, and like I read a lot of like but like even not just that, but like just like, I don't know if you guys are into like spirituality, and we didn't get into like the topic of like the crystals and all of that, but that's kind of helped me a lot to kind of just how I'm gonna like guide my child, because at the end of the day, there's, like I said earlier, there's duality, there's good and bad. We can't shield them, there's no way ever that we're going to be able to shield them and from having a bad experience or from having a bad emotion or a bad feeling or anything. So the only thing we can really do is just teach them how to manage their emotions, to use their discernment, to be able to confide in us, to communicate with us, and just that's the best that we can do.
Wow.
And that's really what I'm kind of just taking.
That like really resonated with me.
Yeah.
Like I really I felt that one in my core.
Yeah.
Like it no, like literally what you were saying, like, because I'm telling you, like, I genuinely have like I care a lot for my nephew, and I have like a lot of anxiety. Yeah. But what you said, like, that's pretty, like, it put it in completely different perspective.
Exactly. Yeah, because I mean, we are at the end of the day like human at the end of the day, and it's impossible to think that we're gonna live in a world with just like all happiness and rainbows, and I know that'd be freaking amazing, but it's not realistic. So we can't shield them. We have to kind of in a way love them, but also kind of give them that tough skin to give them the tools to know how to navigate the world. Yeah. That's but cool. I think on that note, we can close off. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I love this conversation so much. You guys have no freaking idea. And maybe even after the cameras are done rolling, we can continue talking. I thank you guys. Jules, Brandon, Steve.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Julie, do our promo.
Shout out. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to IE Besties. Make sure y'all tune in to the Good News Radio. TGN Latinx, shout out to them. We are the Primos Chidos, Jules, Brandon, Steve. Tune in every Thursdays at 12. We'll see y'all. Make sure y'all follow us on Instagram at Primos Chidos Radio
Thank
Show.
Thank you so much. Bye,
we'll
everybody.
See y'all soon. Bye.